Global disaster. I have countless black technologies. This video is purely for entertainment and does not infringe on copyrights or laws. The rights to the novel and image belong to the original author. We do not claim ownership. Don't like waiting and want to listen to this fanfic in full now? Subscribe to our Patreon, where you'll find the best fanfics. Chapter 101. The Evil God. Mutant Giant Octopus. Biomorphic Camouflage Latent Ability. This large unknown sea creature is preying on it. Hearing Jarvis's explanation, Li Hao spoke again. Jarvis. Sir. If nothing else, there is an 85% chance that this is the case. Hearing this, Li Hao is not very good looking. This is also too unlucky. Who would have thought that there would be a large unknown sea creature with the ability to lurk in the camouflage of biological mimicry? Sitting on a submarine, eating refreshments, passing by the sea, he suddenly attacked this ghost as prey. However, since things have already happened, the most important thing now is to find a way to deal with this large unknown sea creature as soon as possible. Jarvis, how is the damage to the bottom armor at the moment, and whether the power of this large unknown sea creature can break through the shell armor at the shelter? Come down, Li Hao asked. Although for the submarine-type mobile marine shelter, the energy-absorbing alloy shell armor is very confident in the defense. But just in case, Li Hao asked for the first time. After all, if this large unknown sea creature has the ability to penetrate the shell armor, then the situation of the submarine-type mobile marine shelter is really dangerous. Jarvis. The bottom armor is not damaged in the slightest, and it has not been found that this creature has the ability to penetrate the armor at the submarine-type mobile ocean shelter's shell! However, this large unknown marine life has a fairly strong attachment ability, and is now attached to the front bottom armor of the submarine-type mobile marine shelter. Hearing Jarvis's answer, Li Hao was also completely relieved. As long as there are no problems with the shell armor, nothing big will happen. Jarvis, directly control the submarine-type mobile ocean shelter, and use maximum power to take this ocean monster to the bottom of the sea. Hearing that this large unknown marine life was azure on the bottom armor in front of the shelter, Li Hao's eyes flashed a cold color, and he directly ordered, "This is currently the most effective way to get rid of this large, unknown marine life. As long as this thing is still flesh and blood, the collision of the submarine-type mobile marine distress can definitely hit it. After all, nuclear-powered vector engines can burst out thousands of tons of power." Understood. Mr. Jarvis immediately grasped Li Hao's intentions. Blue flames burst out from the rear power chamber of the submarine-type mobile ocean shelter, illuminating the surrounding undersea space. Full power. Thousands of tons of powerful power burst out. Under the control of Jarvis, the submarine-type mobile ocean shelter slammed into the mud and rocks under the seabed. The whole process took less than a second, and the large unknown sea creature didn't even react. Bang. The submarine-type mobile ocean shelter slammed into the mudbed on a seabed, like the explosion of a large mine. The shockwave exploded in all directions. The surrounding dirt rolled upside down, instantly making the sea a little turbid. Meanwhile, the bottom armor of the submarine-type mobile ocean shelter also sounded with a strange cry that seemed to be angry and painful. Then, a huge black shadow with many tentacles suddenly burst out from the turbid sea at the bottom of the sea. Rushing towards the submarine-type mobile marine shelter. The strength of the currents caused by swimming even directly disperses the surrounding turbid water. Then, Li Hao really saw the true face of this large, unknown sea creature. This thing is an octopus. I believe in the evil gods who say it's a kiga. Li Hao's face couldn't help but show a hint of shock. Anima is outrageous. Compared to the evolutionary sea creatures he had seen before, this octopus was simply a real monster. The body is more than 50 meters long, and the whole body is dark red and has lumpy skin, like magma. The most exaggerated thing is its terrifying shape. In addition to the original wrist and foot, dense tentacles and wrist feet also grew on its head. When a dense phobia person sees it, I am afraid that he will go into shock on the spot. Just looking at it makes people feel like they're crazy. This should be a perverted evolutionary individual affected by evolutionary radiation. Li Hao's face also showed a hint of solemnity. He had also speculated in his mind that this kind of ocean monster might appear in the depths of the ocean in the future. Unexpectedly, I saw one now. He also did not expect that in such a short time, such a terrifying monster appeared in the ocean. It seems that I still underestimated the role of evolutionary radiation and the rate at which these sea creatures evolved. Looking at the octopus-shaped ocean monster that was ravaging in the head armor at the submarine-type marine shelter and trying to smash the shell armor with the power of his wrist and foot, Li Hao couldn't help but show a trace of emotion. At the edge of the ocean, countless lives have been born, and it is not surprising what kind of miracles of life have appeared. Face another attack from an octopus-shaped ocean troll. Ask for flowers. This time, Li Hao's command is not needed. Jarvis turned on full power again and confronted the octopus-shaped ocean monster into the mudbed of the sea again. This time, he directly broke several wrists and feet. The octopus-shaped ocean monster once again let out a strange cry that seemed to be a wail of pain. However, this time the injury, it seems to have learned a lesson. Knowing the strange prey that is dark all over the body in front of you, it is not easy to provoke. Next second, the huge neck of the octopus-shaped ocean monster suddenly spat out a large amount of black ink. These black inks instantly spread rapidly in the surrounding seawater. The surrounding sea suddenly became pitch black. For a long time. When the black ink dissipated, the extremely terrifying appearance disappeared without a trace. Zero apparently escaped. Jarvis, are you sure this octopus sea monster has left? Li Hao asked. Jarvis, sir, according to the superpulsar detection radar, this octopus sea monster has indeed escaped from its current location under a hilly undersea 150 miles away. Not before. Why is the superpulsar detection radar able to show and catch the octopus sea monster? Hearing this, Li Hao was completely relaxed at the same time, but also a little strange. That octopus sea monster is motionless, and when it uses the biomorphic ability to lurk and camouflage, the superpulsar detection radar really can't detect it. But once the octopus sea monster starts moving, the superpulsar detection radar can easily spot it. Now, the octopus sea monster's escape trajectory has naturally been captured by the superpulsar detection radar. Although it once again uses the biomorphic ability to camouflage, it has the escape trajectory that has just been recorded, and the hiding location of the octopus sea monster can be easily deduced. Jarvis replied. So it is. Hearing Jarvis's explanation, Li Hao was also stunned. Right now. The system proactively publishes a task. Kill the ocean troll. Chapter 102 Purchasing Underwater Weapons, Electromagnetic Stance Generator. Kill the ocean trolls, mutated giant octopus. Mission description. You suddenly encounter the attack of the Pacific giant octopus's perverted evolutionary individual. Although you successfully repel the other party, but in view of the characteristics of this creature, please kill it completely as soon as possible. Note: after mutating, this giant octopus is extremely vindictive, extremely vengeful, and has evolved a unique ink smell tracking ability, which can track enemies by spraying ink and marking them. Mission rewards. Low-level metal transformation device, used to shape metal and change vehicle form. That ocean monster whose appearance is almost comparable to the evil god of the Grand System is really evolved from the giant octopus of the Pacific Ocean. Seeing this, Li Hao's face did not show an expression of surprise, but showed a hint of understanding. After seeing this ocean monster, he had a general guess in his heart about 747 and its prototype. The system's mission statement only confirmed the guess in his mind. After all, some of the characteristics that the ocean monster exhibited were too similar to the giant Pacific octopus. The all-over red skin and near-perfect biomorphic ability are simply an evolved version of the Pacific giant octopus. The largest size of the Pacific giant octopus before evolution can reach nearly 10 meters, and it also has the ability to change its color and integrate with the surrounding environment through unique pigment cells. After evolution, the original ability of the Pacific giant octopus has obviously been greatly improved. Very vengeful, and can track enemies through the ink smell mark ? It seems that this big octopus not only wanted to escape before, but also thought that it would be convenient to track and retaliate in the future. Li Hao touched his chin, his eyes thoughtful. This thing has evolved to this extent in a short period of time, and the potential should definitely not be. Maybe it will become even more terrifying in the future. Although he thinks he has a system and is not afraid of a sea monster at all, it is better to solve the things that can be solved now. After all, being entangled in such an extremely vengeful sea monster is also a troublesome matter. Cutting the grass and removing the roots and leaving no chance for the enemy to fight back is his principle. Since you are so vengeful, then you can never take revenge again. However, before I can hunt down the big octopus, I need to get some weapons for the shelter. Otherwise, relying only on the armor at the shelter hit, the means are too single and bulky, and the lethality is not very sufficient. After this battle, Li Hao truly realized how dangerous the ocean is today, and also understood that it is urgent to install underwater weapons in the shelter. After all, in the new sea area formed by the submersion of the sea on land, he can encounter octopus trolls with such a perverted degree of evolution. In the depths of the ocean, there must be more of these monsters. Underwater weapon systems are an extremely important part of securing submarine navigation and submarine-type mobile ocean shelters. Of course, he was not unaware of this before. It's just that there are not enough points. Otherwise, he installed underwater weapon systems when building submarine-type mobile ocean shelters. However, it is not too late. I have accumulated about 60,000 points in my hands after so many days to buy underwater weapon systems for the shelter. Thinking like this, Li Hao immediately opened the Doomsday Technology Mall and looked for underwater weapons suitable for submarine-type mobile ocean refuge. After some sifting and comparison, Li Hao quickly found what he needed. Electromagnetic Stance Generator Introduction. This is an underwater weapon developed based on electromagnetic technology, which has three modes: integrated attack and defense, but the energy consumption is extremely large. If the energy is insufficient, it cannot exert its maximum power. Note: the three modes are: defense mode. Electromagnetism is used to form a strong magnetic stance defense with a diameter of 1000 meters. Attack mode gathers high voltage current, confines it with a magnetic field, and sends a high voltage current cluster attack in a specified direction, with an attack range of 1 kilometer. Explosive. While opening the electromagnetic shield, it releases high voltage current indiscriminately within 100 meters of the surrounding area, causing a covering current blow. Price: 57,800 points. This should be the most suitable underwater weapon I can currently afford. Other underwater weapons are either too expensive or too monolithic to meet his needs. In comparison, the electromagnetic stance generator, which only needs 57,800 points and has three modes of attack and defense, is obviously the most cost-effective underwater weapon. Of course, although this underwater weapon is very powerful and extremely suitable for underwater environments, it is not without its shortcomings. For example, the demand for energy is enormous. The three modes of the electromagnetic stance generator are all big eaters of energy, and the more energy is abundant, the more current is converted, and the more powerful these three modes are. And if there is no sufficient energy supply, the power of this thing becomes extremely weak and basically useless. It can be said that the combat effectiveness of the electromagnetic stance generator depends entirely on whether the energy supply is sufficient. However, this shortcoming of the electromagnetic stance generator is almost negligible for me. With the technology of synthetic petroleum, there will be no shortage of energy reserves in my shelter, and there will be no problem at all in supplying this large energy consumer. Thinking of this, Li Hao did not hesitate to buy this electromagnetic position generator, minus 57,800 in an instant. The balance of Li Hao points was only 1,500. Again become a poor ghost. In this regard, Li Hao did not have much psychological fluctuations. After all, points are used for use. If you don't use it, put it there, you can neither eat interest nor give breath. Only when used on the blade can the true value of 4.2 points be realized. It's time to install the electromagnetic position generator. After buying the electromagnetic position generator, Li Hao walked out of the head observation room and walked towards the room below the difficulty. There's an underwater weapons room reserved when he built a submarine-type mobile ocean shelter. I thought it was for the installation of torpedo missiles. Now it is used to install electromagnetic position generators, but it needs to be well modified. It took an afternoon. With the help of the fully automatic multifunctional mechanical building octopus, Li Hao finally completed the transformation of the weapons room and installed the electromagnetic stance generator. Connect to the energy system of the shelter. Seeing that the work indicator of the electromagnetic position generator lit up normally, Li Hao also showed a nuclear good smile on his face. Next, it's time to go to the trouble of that big octopus. Chapter 103: Hunting and Killing Mutant Giant Octopuses. After dinner, Li Hao directly ordered Jarvis to pilot the submarine-type mobile ocean shelter towards the location where the mutated giant octopus was hiding. That mutant giant octopus can be said to be very cunning. After fleeing, he is constantly moving, changing his hiding location. During this period, it also used the powerful biomorphic ability camouflage ability, and disappeared in the display of the super pulsar ray detection radar several times. But what it doesn't know is that these cunning tricks are simply useless to Li Hao. Every time it changes its hiding location, its movement trajectory is actually exposed to the super pulsar ray detection radar and is completely recorded. With these movement trajectories as data support, Jarvis can easily find its location through big data computing. More than an hour later, driven by Jarvis, the submarine-type mobile marine shelter came to an undersea basin. According to Jarvis's calculations of the trajectory of the mutated giant octopus, the large octopus is hiding in the sea, sitting in the first 15 observation rooms of the submarine-type mobile ocean shelter. Li Hao looked condescendingly at the underwater basin, but found nothing. Not to mention the mutant giant octopus that is more than 50 meters old. Even the small sea fish have not seen a single one. Although this submarine basin is quite wide, there are not many obstacles in it. The commanding view was also almost unobstructed in the entire submarine basin. However, even so, no matter how Li Hao observed, he still couldn't find the mutated giant octopus hiding in it. Jarvis, are you sure that mutant giant octopus is in this underwater basin? Seeing this, Li Hao couldn't help but ask. Jarvis, you can't be wrong, sir. According to the data, the mutant giant octopus is hiding 650 meters to the left of this underwater basin. Look in the direction, Jarvis said. Li Hao repeatedly observed, but did not find anything wrong. It was as if there really was only silt and pebbles on the seabed. Seeing this, Li Hao also has a more intuitive understanding of the camouflage latent ability of the mutated giant octopus. What a pervert. Obviously in front of you. However, there was nothing wrong at all. Even radar cannot be directly scanned and detected. This mutant giant octopus is simply a natural assassin killer with a lurking ability. However, no matter how strong the latent ability is, as long as the assassin killer is exposed, he is not far from death. Li Hao smiled lightly, his eyes flashing with a cold light. Immediately, he ordered to Jarvis, activate the electromagnetic stance generator, adjust to attack mode, and aim at the hiding place of the mutated giant octopus with maximum power to shoot. Jarvis. Yes, sir. Upon receiving the order, Jarvis immediately began to act. A piece of armor at the bottom of the submarine-type mobile ocean shelter quietly opened, sticking out a huge and hideous barrel. Silver electric light condensed in the barrel. Next second, an extremely strong high-voltage current stream penetrates the seawater, hitting a position 650 meters to the left of the submarine base, and the current bursts. Extremely powerful high-voltage currents spread freely in the seawater. In an instant, the 100 meters around its seabed ground were filled with countless silver-white currents. Hiss. A strange cry of pain sounded, and the land that looked like mud and sand suddenly turned crimson, turning into a monster with a body size of more than 50 meters and countless tentacles. It was Li Hao who was looking for. Jarvis continues to attack, don't stop. Seeing the target appear, Li Hao ordered again. The high voltage current cluster with a maximum power. Just now, the results are still very obvious. Although the seawater dispersed a lot of power, that shot still caused the mutant giant octopus to suffer a lot of damage. The magma-like body instantly scorched most of it. Seeing this, Li Hao naturally wanted to continue to beat the falling water. On command, Jarvis constantly manipulates the barrel of the electromagnetic stance generator, firing high-voltage currents at the mutated giant octopus in front. Silver electric light constantly illuminates the dark sea around it. Under the bombardment of the high-voltage current cluster, the giant mutant octopus also kept hissing and wailing, as if it wanted to escape here. However, the huge body paralyzed by the strong electric current was unable to make any movements at all. Stay where you are and let the electromagnetic stance generator attack. The high voltage current cluster bombarded for a full minute. The mutated giant octopus was all electrocuted into char shapes, and it completely lost its voice. Sure enough, if you put on a weapon, it's different! The combat effectiveness of the submarine-type mobile ocean shelter has skyrocketed by a lot. Previously attacked by this mutant giant octopus, Li Hao could only fight it back by using the clumsy method of impacting the armor at the shelter's shell. After installing the electromagnetic position generator, this fierce and hideous mutated giant octopus instantly turned into a lamb to be slaughtered, and there was no way to fight back. The gap is simply not too obvious. The mutated giant octopus is dead. The task of Ren 947, who killed the ocean troll, the mutated giant octopus, should also be completed. Thinking so, Li Hao opened the system inventory. However, it was still empty. Nothing. What's going on? The mission reward was swallowed by the system. Seeing this situation, Li Hao was also slightly flurried. However, he soon dismissed the idea. After all, when the previous system task is completed, the task reward will be credited instantly. Nothing has ever gone wrong. Since it's unlikely to be a system problem, that means the task hasn't been done at all. Therefore, the mission reward did not arrive. Compared with the probability of system error, it is obvious that the probability of suspended animation of the mutated giant octopus is a little higher. With a guess in his heart, Li Hao did not have much ink, and ordered to Jarvis, continue to use the electromagnetic stance generator and attack the head of the mutated giant octopus. The voice fell. Countless high-voltage currents once again gushed out from the bottom armor of the submarine-type mobile ocean shelter, bombarding the head of the mutated giant octopus. The thick silver-white arc of electricity was constantly beating on its huge body. The attack continued for nearly half a minute. In the system inventory, the mission reward for killing the mutated giant octopus appears. Low-level metal deformation device. Chapter 104, switching the vehicle form. Arrived at Steel Island 1. It's really fate death. Seeing the system task reward appear in the inventory, Li Hao immediately confirmed his previous guess in his heart. This mutant giant octopus did not die completely before, but was attacked by high-voltage electricity until it fell into a coma and fell into a state of suspended animation. His subsequent whipping corpse behavior made up for the last knife, which completely killed the mutated giant octopus. In the submarine base and the body of the mutant giant octopus has been completely carbonized under the attack of the high-voltage current cluster, like a charred black stone, and all life activities are removed first. The whole body is completely carbonized by electricity, and only then does it really die! This vitality is really tenacious enough. Seeing this, Li Hao couldn't help but sigh a little in his heart. With near-perfect latent camouflage ability, huge size and strength, coupled with such tenacious vitality, this mutant giant octopus is simply the top predator in the ocean. If human ships and submarines encounter this guy, they will almost certainly die. It was this mutant giant octopus that was unlucky and met his hard bone, which ended up in such a tragic end. Otherwise, with its ability and evolutionary potential, it will definitely be able to become a hegemon-level creature in this sea area in the future. Come to your senses. After confirming that the mutant giant octopus was completely dead, Li Hao stopped thinking about it and began to check the mission reward he had just received. It was an extremely sophisticated-looking silver instrument. Low-level metal deformation device function. Vehicle form switching. Note: the specific volume shall not be greater than 100,000 cubic meters. Introduction. This is a scientific and technological creation made by using a certain primary metal deformation technology, with limited metal deformation ability. After buying into a vehicle, it can be shaped by specific metal deformation and switch the form of the vehicle. Note: due to the limited metal deformation ability of a low-level metal deformation device, it can only switch to two fixed forms. One is the shape of the main vehicle, and the other is the optional vehicle form switching. Once selected, it cannot be changed. This tech prop came just right. Li Hao also had a satisfied smile on his face. He is heading to the Steel Island. If you drive directly to a submarine-type mobile ocean shelter, it is obviously too high profile. 100% will alarm the official. Perhaps, they will be treated as enemies who have sneaked in secretly and are forbidden to enter. At that time, dealing with the official will probably be troublesome enough. This is completely at odds with his original intention of entering the trading market on the official Steel Island to complete the collection tasks of the two systems. Originally, when he went to Steel Island, he would like to buy a small boat from the system mall to use temporarily. However, now with this low-level metal deformation device, it saves trouble. Thinking like this, Li Hao took out the low-level metal transformation device directly from the system inventory. Then, I began to flip through the instruction manual that came with it. It's not difficult to use. After reading the instruction manual, Li Hao also roughly knows how to use this device. Connect the energy, scan the bound vehicle, and finally switch the vehicle form. Simple and convenient. It's a complete point-and-shoot operation. Following this set of processes, Li Hao quickly bound the low-level metal deformation device to the submarine-type mobile ocean shelter, and also completed the selection of vehicle switching form. Jarvis, control the shelter to float. After doing all this, Li Hao ordered to Jarvis. He wanted to go to the surface of the sea to try the effect of this low-level metal deformation device. Jarvis. Yes, bandit. Bang. A slight ignition sounded. Under the control of Jarvis, the nuclear-powered vector engine starts again, and the tail shoots blue flames. Propelling submarine-type mobile ocean shelter to rise rapidly. 10 seconds later. Under the moon star night. Boom. A huge spindle-shaped metal monster broke through the dim sea surface and appeared on the surface of the sea. To confirm that the submarine-type mobile marine shelter has risen to the surface, Li Hao immediately activates the low-level metal deformation device and clicks the vehicle form switching option. Silently. The metal structure of the shell of the submarine-type mobile marine shelter begins to deform automatically. 3 minutes later. The spindle-shaped submarine-type mobile marine shelter completely disappeared on the surface. In its place was a large cruise ship hundreds of meters long. It's pretty perfect. Sitting in the captain's room at the top of the large cruise ship, overlooking the entire large cruise ship, Li Hao also nodded in satisfaction. Let Jarvis sail the sea for a while on a large cruise ship. After confirming that the vehicle after form switching can be used normally, Li Hao clicks the vehicle form switching option again. 3 minutes later, the cruise ship disappeared. A submarine-type mobile ocean shelter that switches back to spindle form. Jarvis, control the sinking of the shelter and continue in the direction of the official Steel Island. After completing the test, Li Hao spoke. Upon receiving the order, Jarvis immediately controlled the submarine-type mobile ocean shelter and began to sink. Grunt. Grunt. Under the moonlight, the sea is tumbling. Submarine-type mobile ocean shelter quickly disappeared from the surface. After diving to the bottom of the sea, it quickly sails towards the distance. June 1, 2021. Today, the outside is calm and there's only a little rain. After nearly a dozen hours of night sailing, the submarine-type mobile ocean shelter is now less than 1,000 kilometers away from the official Steel Island. There are no other words. The submarine-type mobile ocean shelter is expected to arrive near the official No. 1 Steel Island tomorrow morning. June 2, 20,216, 32 and driven by Jarvis, the submarine-type mobile ocean shelter was within 100 nautical miles of the official Steel Island No. 1. In order not to attract official attention, Li Hao activated the low-level metal transformation device and switched the submarine-type mobile ocean shelter into a large cruise ship form very low-key towards the official No. One Steel Island. About an hour after the voyage. The official no. One Steel Island is already in sight. I saw that an extremely large steel island in the distance, like a sleeping giant beast, quietly floating on the sea. Under the sunlight, it shines. Majestic to the extreme. Chapter 105 arrived at the port of the Steel Island trading area. It's spectacular. Looking at no. One Steel Island, Li Hao's face couldn't help but show a hint of shock and admiration. A huge steel island with an area of more than 50 million square meters, 50 square kilometers. You can imagine how magnificent it is. Compared with what steel giant ships and sea arcs are, they are as small as dust. The birth of the steel island is simply a miracle in the history of human industry. No need for Li Hao to say more. Driven by Jarvis, this large cruise ship transformed from a submarine-type mobile ocean refuge quickly approaches Steel Island No. One. Wait until the big cruise ship is 10 kilometers close to Steel Island No. 1. Back tight. Back tight. Back tight. A huge patrol boat pulled the alarm and quickly leaned towards this side. Then, a rather loud electronic horn sounded from the patrol boat. Ahead of Steel Island No. 1. Unregistered ships are forbidden to enter. The cruise ship in front stops and accepts identity checks, otherwise we will take the necessary coercive measures. Official patrol boat. Hearing this, Li Hao was also thoughtful. This was not surprising to him. After all, a place like Steel Island is obviously the official hub of the Xia Kingdom, and it is extremely important, and it is naturally impossible to live in 443 and enter by someone whose identity is unknown. It is also necessary to send patrol ships to patrol the perimeter of the Steel Island to intercept unknown ships. Even he suspects that this is only the first line of defense. If someone wants to forcibly break in, there will definitely be a second, third, or even more heavy line of defense waiting behind. Therefore, Li Hao did not have the intention of forcibly breaking through and resisting identity checks. Anyway, the identity of the clone warriors, he let Jarvis enter into the official ID database. Ensure that the identity of each clone warrior is innocent and the origin is also traceable. Thinking like this, Li Hao signaled Jarvis to stop sailing for the time being and stop the big cruise ship. Then, put on a radiation-proof life support suit, and took Zhazushi and them and the clone warriors towards the cruise ship deck. Of course. In order to prevent the ship from being an official liar, Li Hao also made the clone warriors bring weapons to guard against them. A minute later. The patrol boat was docked in front of the Li Hao cruise ship to the left. About 24 people wearing radiation protection suits with the emblem of Xiago, BFBF, walked up the stairs of the cruise ship. Seeing Li Hao and the others carrying weapons, although these people's faces changed slightly, they did not say much. After all, it is the end of the day, and unlike in peacetime, it is quite normal to carry weapons for self-defense. Almost all of them came to the Sea Ark shelter here with weapons. It's just that some were fine and some were inferior. However, although this matter is very normal, the large number of M19 assault rifles in the hands of Li Hao and others still make these officials very nervous. More than a dozen official law enforcers armed with weapons were also keeping a close eye on Li Hao and the others, always on guard. In such mutual vigilance, the two sides began to talk. After some negotiation, turn off the weapons insurance. Confirming that these people were indeed official, Li Hao turned to the clone warrior behind him and ordered. Prohibition. Da. 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 The clone warriors closed the safety of their M19 assault rifles. Seeing this, those official personnel also relaxed a lot. After all, these gun-wielding men who look very elite and tough put too much pressure on them. Seeing Li Hao and others cooperate with their work in this way, the official law enforcers are also relieved, no longer on guard, and their nerves are tense. After the two sides have achieved basic trust, these officials then began to check and register the identities of Li Hao and others. Confirm that the identity information of Li Hao and others corresponds to the official identity database. After the official personnel registered Li Hao's cruise ship number, they also handed Li Hao and others a new identity registration card each. Thank you for your cooperation. These identification cards are a communication card to enter the Steel Islands, which are common to both Steel Islands. However, since you have not been granted the right to live on any of the Steel Islands, therefore, you can only enter the trading market of Steel Island through the port of the trading area. Other areas are not accessible, and you cannot carry guns and weapons when entering the trading area of Steel Island, and there will be instruments for inspection. In time, people who do not have the right to live on the Steel Island need to leave the Steel Island before sunset. While handing out identity registration cards to Li Hao and the others, a girl with a little freckles begins to explain what she needs to pay attention to when entering the Steel Island. After all this, the officials left the cruise ship and returned to the official patrol boat. Jarvis, head towards the trading area port of the Steel Island. Scanning the map of the Steel Island handed to him by the officials and scanning it for Jarvis, Li Hao According to the area began on this map, the trading area port of Steel Island is northwest. Cruise ships need to make a small half circle around the Steel Island to get there. On command, Jarvis automatically began adjusting his course and moving northwest. After another 10 minutes of sailing, the cruise ship began to approach the port of the trading area. The number of boats coming and going around is gradually increasing. Each ship has a volume of more than 1,000 tons. Apparently, these ships were private Sea Ark shelters on their way to the trading area of Steel Island. Among these 1,000-ton ships, Li Hao's small boat at less than 300 tons suddenly became somewhat conspicuous. It's as if a small dot appears in a group of adults. However, Li Hao does not care about this. These ships look a little bigger. You know, the low-level metal deformation device only changes the shape of the metal, and does not change in essence. In other words, his cruise ship, which was switched from a submarine-type mobile ocean shelter, has a hull also made of energy-absorbing alloy. If you really want to collide, one of these so-called big ships is one, and all of them had to be sunk by his small cruise ship and go to the bottom of the sea to feed the fish. Ignore the ships around you. Li Hao asked Jarvis to drive the cruise ship and slowly docked inside the port of the Steel Island trading area. Chapter 106 The Law of the Jungle. The preciousness of pure white salt. Pay 10 kilograms of grain as a parking fee. Li Hao's cruise ship officially docked at the dock of the port of the No. 1 Steel Island trading area. It's really hilarious. Standing on the deck of the cruise ship, Li Hao looked down on the bustling crowds on the pier below, and he also felt some emotion and nostalgia in his heart. It had been a long time since he had seen such a lively and prosperous scene. Since the end of the world, human civilization has begun to gradually wither. The prosperous and lively scene in front of him suddenly made him feel like he had returned to the peaceful era. Looking back, Li Hao did not forget the purpose of the trip. He needs to buy supplies needed for the mission on the trading market. According to the information obtained from previous exchanges with officials, the current trading market of Steel Island is basically traded by barter. Grain and salt, which are essential goods, are hard currencies in the market, completely replacing the role of coins. Thinking of this, Li Hao immediately asked the clone warrior to carry 1,000 kilograms of grain and salt from the warehouse carry. The trade materials were loaded in 3 large carts. Taking 6 clone warriors as bodyguards and porters, Li Hao took Jazushi and his 3 doctors off the cruise ship and walked towards the trading market. Walk on the dock of the port of the trading area. Li Hao and others have also attracted the attention of many people. After all, the 3 faces are almost identical, and the triplet sister flowers with beautiful and moving bodies and thousands of merits are too rare. In this case, Li Hao, who put his arm around Jazushi, gained the envious and jealous eyes of many people. However, after seeing the 6 clone warriors around Li Hao who were not easy to mess with at first glance, many people withdrew their gaze very wisely. In their eyes, Li Hao is clearly the leader of a private Sea Ark. Such people are clearly not something that they, the civilians, can afford to mess with. In case people are unhappy to see it, even if they are limited by the laws and regulations of the Steel Island, they dare not kill them, but as long as they casually instruct a few subordinates to stare at them every day and prevent them from doing things smoothly, it is enough for them to endure. Before, many people got into trouble like this. Every day when I go out, I am surrounded and can't start working. And without work, there is no salary. Without wages, there is no food and water, and you will only starve to death. In fact, if it were not for the official warning not to go too far, those who caused trouble would have really died of starvation in bed. With these lessons from the past, they naturally have a stake in their hearts and know what to do to protect their lives. After the end comes, the clash between people seems to be more pronounced with Chirora. Noticing this, Li Hao's face was also thoughtful. But thinking about it, this is actually a very normal thing. In today's cruel doomsday environment, resources are limited, and the law of the jungle will naturally appear more and more vividly. If it weren't for the fact that this is the official territory and the official power of the Xia Kingdom to maintain basic order, I am afraid that this situation will be much more serious. Previously, he had seen many posts on the Doomsday Forum saying that there were many cases of private Sea Arks using people as slaves. Even slaves were traded as goods at will. In comparison, ordinary people in the official territory of Xiamen State have already lived very well. Not much better, though. At best, it's safer, it's just a job to be able to eat, and it's almost impossible to want more. Official supplies are also limited. Shaking his head, Li Hao continued to lead Jazushi and the others towards the trading market of Steel Island. Passed through a heavily guarded security gate. After confirming that they were not carrying lethal weapons such as firearms, Li Hao and others were allowed to enter the trading market. One entry into the trading market. Li Hao found it more than 10 times more prosperous than the pier. Many people set up stalls on both sides of the street to sell their wares. Almost everything. What diamond necklaces, jade jewelry and other things are the most, but the few people buy them. After all, no one is a fool. In the apocalypse, these things don't work at all. At most, bring a good look. It is better to change some food that can be eaten. Unless it is a panic with a lot of materials, who will buy these decorative items? Even if its price is so cheap as jumping off a building compared to before the end of the world, it is true. Therefore, these pieces are sought after by countless women, millions of luxury jewelry at every turn, and not many people care about it. In addition to these many styles of luxury jewelry, there is also a wide range of other products. Vegetables, corn, lettuce, potatoes, onions, tomatoes, seasoning, pepper, white vinegar, sugar, soy sauce, daily necessities, toothbrushes, toilet paper or napkins, radiation protection clothing. There are countless stalls of all kinds of goods, and there are even many stalls selling meat. However, due to the high cost of raising animals, this meat stall is much smaller than other stalls, and the price of any kind of meat is very expensive. Looking at the lively and prosperous trading market in front of her, Zhaozhuxi's 3 daughters couldn't help but shine with their eyes. Obviously, the desire to shop deep in a woman's genes has been stimulated. When I'm done, I'll accompany you to shop more. Seeing this, Li Hao also smiled slightly and spoke. Looking at the completeness of goods in this trading market, it should be very simple to buy enough goods to complete 2 collection tasks. At that time, there will definitely be a lot of time. You can just walk around this trading market. You're the best. Hearing this, Zhaozhuxi's 3 daughters showed bright smiles on their faces, and they were also very happy. Zhaozhuxi, who was hugged by Li Hao, jumped up happily and kissed Li Hao's face, asked for flowers, next, just as Li Hao expected. Sugar collection. This task is easy to complete. There are many stalls selling sugar in the trading market, and he only used 500 kilograms of rice to successfully exchange for 1,000 kilograms of white sugar. However, the dairy farming task in the back is a bit troublesome. A minimum of 10 live cows need to be acquired. The cost of raising this cow is huge, and there are few shelters to raise such large livestock. Therefore, Li Hao walked around the livestock trading area a few times to buy 3 weaned black and white cow calves. These calves weigh only a few tens of kilograms on average, but the price is very expensive. It consumed nearly 500 kilograms of radiation-free pure white salt from Li Hao. In the trading market, pure white salt without radiation is a rare and luxurious product. 1 kilogram of radiation-free pure white salt can be exchanged for at least more than 100 kilograms of grain. After all, the atmosphere thinks, cosmic radiation enters the blue star in large quantities, and the seawater carries thick radiation. Even if such radiated seawater uses various filtration methods, it is difficult to completely filter the radiation. The salt produced naturally also carries some slight radiation. Although it is okay to eat in the short term, if you eat it year after year, it is likely to cause some radiation sickness in the body. Therefore, one can imagine how precious pure white salt without radiation is. This is a true luxury. Ordinary people simply cannot afford to eat. Only eat radiant salts that carry a slight residue of radiation. As for ordinary people, they naturally know this. But even knowing the dangers of radiation salt, they had to eat it. The consequences of eating it are just radiation sickness that does not know when it will appear in the future, and perhaps they will not live at that time. If you don't eat, the salt needed by the body cannot be replenished, and you will die after not lasting for a week. Anyone knows what to choose. However, for Li Hao, the extremely precious radiation-free pure white salt in the eyes of ordinary people is no different from sediment. The salt-making machine in the shelter can easily produce a steady stream. Of course, although radiation-free pure white salt is not precious to him, Li Hao obviously can't be used as a fat sheep for others to slaughter casually. That's foolish behavior. Naturally, he could not be such a fool. With 500 kilograms of radiation-free pure white salt, 3 rare black and white dairy calves are purchased, which is the normal market price. After all, in a doomsday environment, large-scale live animal farming is rare and expensive. Buy 3 black and white calves. After discovering that there were no live cows sold in the trading market, Li Hao also temporarily put off his mind to buy all the materials needed for the collection task at once. Bring all 3 black and white calves and 1,000 pounds of white sugar back to the cruise ship. Subsequently, Li Hao took the 3 sisters Zhaozhuxi to wander around the trading market. Relax your mind. Chapter 107. The greedy side behind. Due to other living materials and other things, there is almost no shortage of shelters. Li Hao and Zhaozhuxi's 3 daughters mostly wandered around the jewelry trading area and clothing trading area of the trading market. Small half a day down. Li Hao also bought a lot of beautiful jewelry and women's clothes for the 3 sisters of Zhaozhuxi. However, the price of these things is also really cheap. 10 pounds of grain can be exchanged for a lot. Only some rare and extremely rare jewelry can be sold a little more expensive. But it's not much more expensive. The price of tens of pounds of grain is at the top. For Li Hao, it's all about sprinkling. Therefore, no matter what kind of jewelry and clothes Shazushi and the others wanted, he basically bought them all. After a big purchase, just the jewelry box and clothes were filled with a large cart. The grain needed for trading is less than 150 kilograms. After buying clothes and jewelry, Li Hao took his 3 daughters to the seed trading area to buy seeds for various flavoring spices. Later, they went to the luxury trading area to buy a variety of high-end tea leaves and canned fruit. Until the sun set, the trading market was about to close. Li Hao and the others left the trading market of Steel Island and returned to the cruise ship for dinner. June 3, 2021. Li Hao again entered the livestock trading section of the trading market, looking for stalls sounding like cows. However, there is not much to be gained at all. For most of the day, only one growing sand cow is purchased. Seeing this, in order to be able to trade enough cows faster, Li Hao directly paid for the stall and put up a banner to buy cows at a premium of 10%. The effect is also very obvious. After all, large livestock like cows are inherently expensive. A 10% premium is not a small amount. Soon, people from other shelters came to the booth to inquire. After confirming that Li Hao really intends to acquire at a premium, they have also reached a deal intention. For 4,500 kilograms of radiation-free pure white salt, Li Hao switched to 2 adult black and white cows and 2 weaned black and white calves. Together with the 3 acquired yesterday, Li Hao has already collected 8 cows. There are only 2 cows left before completing the dairy farming task. www.202164. Seeing the effect of yesterday's stall, Li Hao once again repeated his old skills, wanting to quickly solve the system task of dairy farming. However, shelters with dairy farming capacity are ultimately in the minority. After waiting all morning, Li Hao failed to close the deal and did not acquire a single milk sex. T128 silly. Have Clone Warrior look at the trading stall. Li Hao took Shazushi's 3 daughters to wander around the trading market again. I only visited a few trading areas in the past 2 days, and there are still many places I haven't visited. Take a walk. Maybe you can get some good stuff. Entertainment goods trading area, medicine trading area. Take a walk all around. After replenishing the shelter with some spiritual food and necessary medicines, it was already evening. Returning to his trading booth, Li Hao found that there was still nothing to be gained. No one shot the cows at all. Seeing this, Li Hao knew that there was a high probability of finding nothing today, and did not waste time, directly entered the stall and took people back to the cruise ship at the dock. However, what he did not notice was that several pairs of eyes had been alternately staring at them in the crowd that came and went around them. The youths watched as they walked out of the market and back to the cruise ship. Then, mingle with the bustling crowds at the pier and enter the interior of the 1,000-ton Sea Ark shelter not far from the Li Hao cruise ship. Enter the refuge of this 1,000-ton Sea Ark. The youths immediately walked towards the top floor of the Sea Ark shelter. Step to the very top of the Ark at sea. Inside, a dozen strong men each hugged several beautiful women wearing tulle and beautiful postures, drinking and having fun. Sitting at the top was a middle-aged man in his 50s with a dark face. Seeing these young people coming up, this middle-aged man with a vulture also put down his wine glass for the time being, turned his gaze, and spoke. How are things going? Almost. After 2 days, the people on the cruise ship traded at least thousands of kilograms of radiation-free pure white salt and grain. A few young people roughly explained the information they had observed in the past few days. Thousands of kilograms of radiation-free pure white salt and grain. The shot is really generous. Hearing this, the eyes of the middle-aged vulture could not help but flash a trace of greed. A few thousand kilograms of grain is okay to say. But those thousands of kilograms of radiation-free pure white salt are extremely precious. Even if he was the leader of the 1,000-ton Sea Ark shelter, he would not be able to take out so much radiation-free pure white salt now. After all, this thing is daily consumable. Although he used force to collect a lot before the arrival of the Ocean Age, and only supplied it to his henchmen. But the consumption of pure white salt without radiation is still very fast. At present, there are less than 300 kilograms of radiation-free pure white salt left on board. Dad, this big fat sheep can't be missed. Random shots are thousands of kilograms of non-radiation pure white salt, then there must be more on their ship, at least several times the number of shots. That's tens of thousands of kilograms of non-radiation pure white salt. Let's grab a handful and send it. A young man sitting on the left side of the middle-aged man with a shining eye and a greedy look on his face. Boss. Young master, that's right. This kind of big 3.9 fat sheep, we don't eat, others will definitely eat, it's better to cheap us. Exactly. How does a small maritime refuge with a volume of only a few hundred tons qualify to have so much wealth? The strong men who were paying attention to the movements here also echoed one after another. Greedy desire flashed in everyone's eyes. It's not the first time they've done this kind of thing, like robbing other people's ark shelters. It's a pretty good bonus every time. The beautiful women and living materials they enjoyed come from this way. Plunder almost became their habit. This time, they saw a big fat sheep whose strength did not seem to be strong, and they naturally screamed excitedly. Chapter 108. The mantis catches the cicada, and the oriole is behind. Listening to the constant sound of plea for battle in his ears, the middle-aged man of the vulture was also more and more moved. At least tens of thousands of kilograms of radiation-free pure white salt, too tempting. Such a big fat sheep really can't be easily let go. But how to make a move, but you still need to think in the long run, not reckless. After all, excluding the accidental factor of luck, a person who can get so much radiation-free pure white salt is definitely a hard bone. Although the cruise ship shelter with only a few hundred tons does not look very strong in any way, it is always good to be cautious. Only by prudence can we live longer in this cruel apocalypse. After a moment of silence, the middle-aged man of the vulture also had a general plan in his heart about what to do. Let's do it, but not now. Within the port of the Steel Island trading zone, there are official restrictions, and we will definitely die if we do it. Even if we grab it, we will not be able to leave the port. We won't have a chance until the cruise ship shelter leaves the Steel Island trading port. These days, we must not make the people in the shelter of the cruise ship alert. The middle-aged man of the vulture opened his mouth and ordered. There is a ton of indispensable majesty. 15 strictness. Understood. But, Dad, do you want to secretly install a tracker for the cruise ship shelter? ? Otherwise, when the cruise ship goes out of port, if we can't keep up and chase it away, it's big. The young man sitting on the left side of the middle-aged man in the vulture spoke again. As the son of the middle-aged man of the vulture and the number 2 people on the ship, he naturally had the qualifications to make suggestions. No need to do these superfluous things! This kind of big fat sheep with a generous shot has probably long fallen into the eyes of other people with intentions. People who set their sights on this sea cruise shelter will definitely not be able to take our family of sea ark shelters. There will always be people who can't help but make a move. Let those people go to explore the way first. The middle-aged man of the vulture smiled lightly and said his entire plan. The praying mantis catches the cicada, and the yellow finch is behind. He was ready to let the others eyeing the cruise ship shelter test the depth first. If the cruise ship shelter is terrifyingly strong and beyond a response, they give up the action. If the cruise ship shelter was completely looted by those people, they would take the opportunity to strike and directly snatch the victory. In this way, there is no risk at all. Of course, the implementation of any plan requires strength. Without great strength, nothing is in vain. Dare to make this kind of plan to catch the mantis and yellow finches in the back, which shows the confidence of this vulture middle-aged man in the strength of his refuge. Hearing that the boss had already thought of all the plans, everyone nodded one after another, not daring to talk more nonsense. The atmosphere returned to its previous liveliness. Everyone hugged the beautiful women and drank and had fun. The same scene also appeared in several thousand-ton sea ark shelters. However, these thousand-ton sea ark shelters plan to wait until the cruise ship shelters leave the port and directly follow them, fighting for plunder. After all, in their minds, no matter how strong the strength of the cruise ship shelter of several hundred tons is, how strong can it be? With such a strong strength, it is absolutely impossible to build a sea shelter with only a few hundred tons. I don't know the peeping eyes of those who have intentions in the secret. June 5, 2021. In order to complete the system task, Li Hao continues to take the clone warriors to the trading market to set up stalls and buy cows. However, today's acquisition process is much smoother than yesterday. There is a private sea ark shelter, which seems to be unable to support the food consumption of dairy farming, and directly shoots 5 black and white cows at once. Since the 5 black and white cows are all in their youth, they are about to produce milk as adults. Therefore, the price is much more expensive than using those underage black and white milk. It costs 6,100 kilograms of radiation-free pure white salt for Li Hao to eat it all. Combined with the cows he bought earlier, the number of cows in his hands reached 13. The mission requirements of dairy farming have been achieved. After completing the task requirements, Li Hao no longer wasted time, directly entered the stall, took the purchased cows, and walked towards the cruise ship in the port. Back on the cruise. Have the clone warriors drive the 5 cows to the farm. Just as Li Hao is ready to check the mission rewards. Boss. Several groups seem to have their sights on us. Several trackers were installed on the hull of the cruise ship. Number 1 came over and spoke. How many groups are eyeing us? Hearing this, Li Hao is also inexplicable. It stands to reason that his cruise ship is not conspicuous in these thousands of tons of sea ark shelters. Why was it suddenly targeted by several groups of people? Wait. Perhaps not inexplicably, these people should have come for supplies. After thinking for a moment, Li Hao also quickly reflected. In the past few days, he has been quite generous in the trading market. Just the precious and abnormal non-radiation pure white salt in the eyes of ordinary people was traded out tens of thousands of kilograms. Although these pure white salts were nothing to him, falling into the eyes of other people with hearts was enough to trigger the deepest greed in their hearts. Therefore, it is a matter of course to be targeted. Of course, even if he did it all over again, he would still do it. Completing system tasks is what matters. In his opinion, those who set their sights on cruise ships are not at all worried. Want to ransack his shelter. If you really want to fight, Ulitsu is not necessarily it. Don't worry about those trackers, just 860 should not know. Anyway, inside the official port, those people don't dare to do it. Thinking like this, Li Hao also showed a sneer on his face and ordered to know. One, since these people want to come, then come. Just solve it all at once and use it to kill birds. Yes, boss. Seeing Li Hao's intentions, no. One also nodded and walked out. Without taking those who seek their own death to heart, Li Hao continued to do his own thing step by step. Rewards for completing the sugar collection and dairy farming missions are taken out of the system inventory. Subsequently, through an automated farming system, all these seeds are planted on a land of agricultural plantations. With quick ripening high sugar cane, as long as you get another sugarcane sugared press, the shelter will be self-sufficient in sugar in the future. And fast-growing pasture can also be used to raise the large livestock in the shelter, reducing the food consumption in the shelter. Thinking of this, Li Hao had a satisfied smile on his face. He enjoyed the feeling of perfecting the shelter step by step. Now that both tasks have been completed, it is time for this week's refreshed tasks. Otherwise, next Monday, this task will be refreshed. After receiving the shooting exercise mission refresh this week, Li Hao did not stop at the agricultural plantation and walked directly towards the direction of the shooting range. If you're listening to this novel on a channel other than Fanfic World, it means they downloaded and uploaded it without effort. We cordially invite you to visit our channel, Mundo Fanfic Novelas. There you'll find the original version of this story and you can explore many other novels of various genres. We're waiting for you to immerse yourself in a world of incredible novels. Chapter 109. People are greedy, just reaping the benefits of the fisherman. June 6, 2021. After completing the 2 collection tasks, Li Hao is also not going out. I have been practicing rifle shooting skills repeatedly in the shooting range of the cruise ship. It is as if those iron cruise ships have been completely forgotten. June 7, 2021. After a day of practice yesterday, Li Hao has been able to maintain a stable hit rate of more than 90% within 300 meters. It is not far from the mission requirement of achieving a 95% hit rate on shooting exercise. For his rapid progress, Li Hao is not much surprised. After all, rifle shooting skills are ultimately relying on eyesight, physical fitness, physical coordination, plus some experience to make shooting more accurate. Some people are gifted, and their eyesight, physical fitness, and physical coordination are far beyond ordinary people. This kind of person can easily become a marksman after a period of training, and he has taken low-level genetic drugs, and all his physical qualities have been strengthened to the limits of human genes, which naturally includes eyesight, physical fitness, and physical coordination. It can be said that his shooting talent surpasses those so-called gifted people in all aspects, surpassing any human being. Therefore, it is also a very normal thing to have this seemingly incredible rate of progress. After another hour of practice, Li Hao successfully improved his rifle shooting accuracy to the level of maintaining a stable 100% hit rate within 100 meters of Wang. The mission should be accomplished. Putting down the rifle in his hand, Li Hao opened the system panel and checked his point balance. 12,500 points. The points he has accumulated in the past few days are about more than 7,000. Now it has soared to more than 10,000. Apparently the shooting exercise mission has been completed, and the 5,000 points rewarded have arrived. Today is June 7th, and if we remember correctly, today seems to be Monday, and the mission should be refreshed again. Looking at the points he added in vain, Li Hao had a satisfied smile on his face. Suddenly, as if remembering something, look at the taskbar of the system panel. Sure enough, there's an extra red dot on the taskbar, and apparently the task refresh sample has refreshed a new task. Click and entering the task refresh bar, Li Hao found that only one task was refreshed inside. Bad luck. The last 2 refreshes turned out to be only one task. Seeing this, Li Hao couldn't help but shake his head. However, no matter how small a mosquito is, it is meat. Although I am a little speechless about the number of task refreshes, the task is still essential. Click on the detailed screen of this task. Edible oil collection task, mission description. Edible oil can provide various fatty acids for the human body, ensure the healthy operation of the human body, and is an indispensable material for survival. Ask the host to collect 1,000 pounds of cooking oil. Note: animal fat, vegetable oil can be used. Mission reward: High-fat peanut seeds. It's a very simple task. Thinking like this, Li Hao also took this task without hesitation. After all, the reward for this task is almost equivalent to picking up for nothing. You only need to go to the Steel Island trading market to buy 1,000 pounds of cooking oil, and you can easily complete this task. After taking over the mission, Li Hao sent several clone warriors to the trading market to buy cooking oil. Just half an hour. Those clones returned with 1,000 pounds of cooking oil. After completing the mission requirements, the task reward will be credited. High-fat seeds. Peanuts are planted on agricultural plantations. After having a hearty lunch with Shazushi's 3 daughters, Li Hao was also ready to do business. Jarvis, start the cruise ship and leave the port of the Steel Island trading area. Coming to the captain's room on the top floor of the cruise ship, Li Hao opened his mouth and ordered. He is ready to start fishing. As long as the cruise ship leaves the port, those sea ark shelters that are staring at the cruise ship will definitely start to move like sharks that smell blood. It wants those people to pay their fair share for their greed. On command, Jarvis steered the cruise ship and began heading out of the harbor. I don't know how many sea arks will come to ransack my sanctuary. I hope that there will be more people with clear heads, otherwise, I am afraid that there will be a little more people who will die. Looking at the Steel Island trading area port that was gradually moving away from the rear, Li Hao's eyes flashed with an inexplicable light. And just as Li Hao's cruise ship began to depart, finally starting to go! Hurry up, hurry up. Go and inform the boss, don't let this big fat sheep run. The other shelter people are staring at it too. Don't let them get a head start. Several groups of young people on the dock who were always staring at the cruise ship also lit up, and ran into their sea ark shelter to report the situation to their leader. Minutes. 5 or 6 sea ark shelters of more than 1,000 tons were activated, and began to leave the port of the Steel Island trading area one after another, chasing in the direction where the cruise ship left. In the beginning, these sea ark shelters were simply hanging from far behind Li Hao's cruise ship. It's as if it's just a ship that happens to be on the same route. But after Li Hao's cruise ship left the Steel Island for hundreds of nautical miles, the 6 sea ark shelters also began to accelerate in vain. The tacit agreement began to outflank the cruise ship where Li Hao was located. 6 sea arks. No, it's not right. It should be 7. There is a sea ark shelter hanging silently behind those 6 sea arks. This is to reap the benefits of the fisherman. Looking at the display of the super-pulsar ray detection radar, Li Hao's face also showed a hint of surprise. Things are getting more and more interesting. Doesn't Li Hao know what kind of cards the Sea Ark refuge hanging at the back has, and actually has the confidence to sit in the hands of the 6 Sea Ark shelter to reap the benefits of fishermen? Li Hao's face also flashed with curiosity. However, there was no worry in his heart. After all, no matter how powerful the whole card of the Ark refuge at the back is, it is absolutely impossible to defeat the cruise ship shelter he built with various black technologies. The result of this fishing was doomed from the very beginning. Let's wait. It's still too close to official territory. If you saw those people here, maybe it will attract the attention of the authorities, or it is better to stay away. Thinking like this, Li Hao immediately asked Jarvis to start speeding up that cruise ship, creating the illusion that he found danger and wanted to escape. At the same time, let it control the speed within a certain range. Prevent those behind you from following you. Chapter 110 First Mode. Li Hao. Just as the Li Hao cruise ship began to accelerate, the guys on that cruise ship found us. Speed up and don't let that fat sheep run. The leaders of the 6 sea arks ordered in unison. The same began to accelerate under Jarvis's control. The distance between the cruise ship and the 6 sea arks has been quite a distance, but it is slowly getting closer. Until entering an uninhabited sea thousands of nautical miles from the official Steel Island. The distance between the two sides is already less than 10 nautical miles. At this moment, Li Hao's cruise ship stopped in vain. Seeing this, the leaders of the 6 sea arks were also overjoyed, and accelerated without hesitation, surrounding the cruise ship group where Li Hao was. However, because the 6 sea arks are not affiliated with the same force, under the restraint of each other, no one is the first to attack the cruise ship where Li Hao is located. The situation seemed to have froze all of a sudden. A moment later. On the deck of the sea ark on the far left, a stocky figure walked out, holding a loudspeaker and saying, "Brothers, let's get this cruise ship and then decide where the materials on the cruise ship belong. Otherwise, when this cruise ship runs away, we will be busy for nothing." Faced with this proposal, the other 710 boats above the sea also responded after a moment of silence. "No problem!" No problem. After a brief discussion, the leaders of the 6 sea arks reached a provisional agreement, decide to get the cruise ship first, and then decide the ownership of the materials on the cruise ship according to their own skills. Brother on the cruise ship. If you want to survive, don't resist. As long as you don't resist, we will only take supplies, and we will definitely not hurt your lives. If you want, you can join our sanctuary. After the agreement was reached, the 6 Sea Arcs no longer restrained each other, and while leaning towards the cruise ship where Li Hao was, they held a horn and launched a persuasion to the people on the cruise ship, so that Li Hao and them gave up resistance, trying to take down the cruise ship without bloodshed. However, Li Hao could not see the minds of these people. These people really treat others like fools! How can you leave a living mouth by doing such a thing? To leave a living mouth is to leave behind hidden dangers. If someone really listens to these people and gives up resistance, I am afraid that they will not be used as fish on the display board and arbitrarily slaughtered. Listening to the sound of those horns ringing in his ears, Li Hao also showed a sneer on his face. However, these people regarded him as prey, but they miscalculated. From beginning to end, he was the real hunter. On the contrary, these are the fish he caught. It's almost time to close the net. Too lazy to take advantage of some nonsense. When the 6 Sea Arcs were within 50 meters, Li Hao ordered directly to Jarvis, activate the electromagnetic stance generator and turn on the burst mode. Yes. Upon receiving the order, Jarvis also immediately took action. Strange thick iron pipes silently stretched out from the bottom of the cruise ship. A furious silver current spreads from it and accumulates, connected to each other. Next second a powerful and invisible magnetic field burst out, directly aiming the 6 Sea Arcs horizontally. What happened? Why was the ship suddenly pushed away? When such an incomprehensible thing happened, the people on the 6 Sea Arcs were shocked at the same time, and their hearts were full of questions. However, before they could react, countless violent silver currents spread out, centered on the cruise ship where Li Hao was located. In an instant, the sea area within a radius of 100 meters turned into a sea of thunder. Electric light. The 6 Sea Arcs simply did not have time to resist and were wrapped in a sea of thunder. Countless silver arcs followed the trend and permeated the interior of these Sea Arcs. In an instant, screams and wails sounded from inside the 6 Sea Arcs. A few seconds later, the silver current dissipated. BFDC, the 6 Sea Arcs appeared from the electric light. I saw that the hull shells of these Sea Arcs were full of scorched black and melted marks. It looks like a large piece of charred black scrap iron. Obviously, these Sea Arcs have been completely scrapped by the super strong high voltage current released by the electromagnetic position generator. This is true of a ship that is extremely strong, not to mention the people above. However, in order to ensure that no fish slipped through the net, Li Hao asked Jarvis to bring the cruise ship to the side of the 6 Sea Arcs. Subsequently, all the clone warriors, under the orders of Li Hao, walked to the 6 Sea Arcs, searched for those who might survive, and mended them. After some searching, it was finally confirmed that none of the 6 Sea Arcs were alive. All of them were electrocuted to death by the super strong high voltage current. The blackened body lay on the ground on 6 Sea Arcs. After ensuring that all enemies are dead, the clone warriors begin to clean up the battlefield, looting all the materials that the Ark can still use as trophies, and bringing them back to the cruise ship's storage warehouse. Next, it's time to tackle the last fish. Having done all this, Li Hao turned his gaze to the south. Over there, an arc of the sea belatedly appeared in Li Hao's field of vision. Obviously, this is the fisherman hanging behind these 6 Sea Arcs. Just when Li Hao saw the sea arc, the people on the ark at sea also saw the situation around Li Hao's cruise ship. 6 scorched and dilapidated sea shelters came into view. Let's go. Seeing this scene, the face of the middle-aged man standing on the deck changed drastically, and he ordered without hesitation. Decisively abandon the operation. 6 powerful Sea Arc shelters collapsed so quickly. Obviously, the strength of the cruise ship shelter is not fat cheap at all. On the contrary, it is terrible, and it is not something they can deal with at all. Thinking that he actually wanted to use it as prey before, the middle-aged man of the vulture was also full of cold sweat on his head. I couldn't help but feel glad that I wasn't reckless. Instead, let someone else be a pathfinder. Otherwise, I am afraid that there will be one more victim in the shelters of those scorched and dilapidated Sea Arcs. Hurry up. Otherwise, it's too late. Thinking of this, the middle-aged man of the vulture couldn't wait to leave this land of right and wrong. With the order of the middle-aged man of the vulture, the Sea Arc under his feet quickly turned, wanting to return the same way, away from the cruise ship shelter where Li Hao was. I've sent it all to the door, and you still want to escape. Seeing the belated Sea Arc escaping directly, Li Hao also showed a sneer on his face. Without hesitation, Jarvis was ordered to drive the cruise ship to catch up. Chapter 111 Gunship. Electromagnetic stand protection shield. You know, the cruise ship Li Hao is now on as a submarine-type mobile ocean shelter morphed from a nuclear-powered vector engine. The submarine mobile marine shelter can still reach a speed of 65 knots on the seabed. When it comes to the surface of the sea, the water barrier is reduced, and the speed is faster. The power burst is enough to make the cruise ship soar to more than 80 knots. Bang! Blue flames gushed, and the cruise ship began to soar on the sea as if it had been equipped with a nitrogen injection device. Rushing to the shelter of the fleeing sea ark, went up. The distance between the two sides narrows at a speed visible to the naked eye. Damn it. Seeing the extremely abnormal speed of the cruise ship shelter, the middle-aged man with a gloomy look on his face couldn't help but feel a little panicked. What the hell is the origin of the people on this cruise ship shelter? A cruise ship is able to drag racing at sea. This is outrageous. Wow. If you already knew it, you shouldn't have been involved in this matter. The middle-aged man of the Vulture also had some regret in his heart. The interests are moving. What the previous cruise ship took refuge was too deceptive. So much so continues that he was a little carried away by greed. However, it is clearly too late to regret it now. The cruise ship that was chasing closely behind did not mean to let them go at all. Nope. If this, it is inevitable that it will be forced to go up. You have got to find a way to drag that cruise ship. Coming down, the middle-aged man quickly thought of a way to break the situation. In the end, he decided to take the whole cards he had saved and give it a shot. Pasha. You take a couple of brothers and pull out those 3 gunships from Kari. Making up his mind, the middle-aged man of the Vulture immediately ordered the henchmen on the side. These 3 gunships are good things that he struggled to get before the end of the world. Each nose is equipped with a 20mm cannon and is equipped with 4 anti-tank missiles. The firepower in the air is very powerful. As long as the yacht on the opposite side does not have air defense, maybe they can still kill a wave. Yes. After receiving the order, Pasha immediately took a few subordinates with specially trained helicopter piloting skills and quickly ran towards the hangar where the 3 armed helicopters were stored. A moment later. Burst. 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 The roar of the propeller tearing through the air sounded. 3 helicopter gunships soared into the air and rushed towards the pursuing cruise ship behind. Gunship. This is the whole card of that sea ark shelter. Very nice indeed. The vast majority of private sea ark shelters lack air supremacy and effective means of counter-air combat. In the face of the siege of 3 gunships, there was no resistance at all. Seeing the 3 gunships were flying rapidly, Li Hao showed a look of surprise on his face. Before, he had guessed what cards the sea ark that dared to reap the benefits a fisherman would have. Unexpectedly, it would be an aerial killer such as a gunship. With enough firepower, this thing is enough to crush most private sea ark shelters. However, it is useless to try to use it against me. Understanding the horror of the gunship, Li Hao's face did not show the slightest fear, and he was very confident at the moment. The 3 oncoming gunships also began to fire. Countless bullets flew out of the machine guns and cannons, like a torrential downpour. Under such powerful firepower, let alone people, even steel will be beaten in 2. In addition, anti-tank missiles also roared, flying out of the launchers of the gunship and towards the cruise ship where Li Hao was. The front of Li Hao's cruise ship was almost covered in a dense rain of bullets. However, in the face of such terrifying firepower, Li Hao directly ignored it, and did not mean to let Jarvis control the cruise ship to stop moving forward. It doesn't even seem to have taken any defensive measures. Seeing this, the pilots of the 3 armed helicopters couldn't help but show joy on their faces. Obviously, in the next second, the joy on their faces completely disappeared. Instead, there was a look of shock and disbelief on his face. I saw that when those bullets and anti-tank missiles were about to fall on the cruise ship, they were as if they had hit an invisible solid wall, and they directly exploded. Ask for flowers, the explosion fireworks shone, but some invisible force blocked it, and it could not touch the cruise ship itself. Grass. What the hell is this? This cruise ship can't be a ghost ship, right? Otherwise, how could this happen? Seeing this incomprehensible picture, Pasha couldn't help but feel a chill in his heart. When the end comes, won't all those weird things appear? And on the other side of the sea ark. Seeing this scene, the middle-aged man of the Vulture also lost his composure as before. In the face of something unknown, anyone will instinctively have fear. Attack. Keep attacking. Knock out all the ammunition. Coming back to his senses, the middle-aged man with a face that was difficult to see the extreme, and yelled at the military walkie-talkie in his hand. Now, he had no intention of counter-killing at all. The only thought was to be able to drag the weird cruise ship and then quickly escape far away. Receiving the order of the boss, the 3 gunships also opened fire again, as if to vent the fear in their hearts. This time the roaring rain of bullets became even more violent. However, it still didn't work. That invisible wall shielded all attacks on cruise ships. Neither bullets nor anti-tank missiles can break through this blockade. Under such a powerful firepower, the speed of the cruise ship was not even affected much. D. Defense mode of the electromagnetic stance generator. Next, it's time to see if the high voltage current cluster in attack mode can be used as a means of air fighting. Seeing the power of the electromagnetic stance generator defense mode, Li Hao nodded in satisfaction. Spending nearly 60,000 points to buy this black technology weapon before seems to be worth it. Apart from the fact that the energy consumption is somewhat large, there are hardly much disadvantages. After testing the defense mode of the electromagnetic stance generator with the help of the fire of 3 gunships, Li Hao did not want to waste any more time, and ordered to Jarvis, turn on the electromagnetic stance generator attack mode again. Chapter 112 The sensation in the high-level circle of the private sea arc. Shoot down all 3 gunships. Jarvis. Yes, sir. The electromagnetic stance generator attack mode is activated and begins to lock on the target position. Having received the order, Jarvis immediately went to work. Through the powerful computing power of the small biological supercomputer, the flight trajectory simulation of the 3 armed helicopters in the sky was completed in an instant. Locking complete. Next second, the front deck of the cruise ship suddenly split into an opening, and a dark iron pillar nearly a meter thick extended from it and began to aim at the 3 gunships in the sky. What the hell is this? Seeing the changes on the deck of the cruise ship, the pilots of the 3 gunships gurgled in their hearts, and a sense of foreboding arose. Like a frightened bird. Immediately subconsciously drove the gunship to escape. However, it is clearly too late. 717 Before the 3 gunships could fly far, a silver electric light that was extremely fast shot out from the large iron pillar. Bang. 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 The current bursts. Silver, high-voltage currents spread through the air like spider webs. The 3 speeding gunships were like small insects caught by spider webs, instantly wiped out by high-voltage electric currents. This is erasure in the true sense of the word. Under the terrifying high temperature generated by the high-voltage current cluster, the 3 armed helicopters were directly dissolved into molten iron, as if it never existed. The helicopter pilot inside was directly evaporated. SHHH. Seeing such a terrifying scene, the middle-aged man and his subordinates couldn't help but sweat profusely, only feeling a rush of urine rushing to his heart. Damn, what the hell is the origin of the cruise ship on the other side? Alien. Even the electric energy weapon came out. Don't be so outrageous. Thinking that he actually wanted to rob such a terrifying, ruthless character, the middle-aged man of the Vulture and his subordinates regretted it to the extreme. Quick, just go, let Lao Jiu increase the speed of the arc to the maximum. Otherwise coming back to his senses, the middle-aged man of the Vulture also completely lost his previous calmness, and roared with a trembling voice. However, the words are not yet lying. Next second, he felt an incomparably strong electric current running through his body, spreading all over his body, making him completely lose control of his body. Sensations of burning, tingling, and paralysis came to his mind. It's over. The middle-aged man of the Vulture only had time to flash this thought in his mind. Then, as soon as it was dark in front of him, consciousness fell into eternal darkness. It's over. Looking at the sea arc ahead that was strung by a cluster of high-voltage currents, Li Hao murmured. The electromagnetic stance generator, an energy weapon, is completely crushing against these private sea arcs. There's no effective means of defense, and such a high-voltage current cannon of at least tens of millions of volts is fired. Even if those people's whole body is made of titanium alloy, they must be dissolved by electricity. There can simply be no living mouth. The result turned out to be exactly what Li Hao expected. When no one took the clone warrior to the sea arc to clean up the battlefield, he didn't see half a living mouth. An entire arc of the sea was reduced to charred corpses. Even some of the more serious ones are turned to ash by the high temperature carried by the high voltage current. The cremation step is directly omitted. One step at a time. After confirming that all enemies were wiped out, Li Hao asked no one to scavenge all the remaining supplies of the sea arc and bring them back to the storage of the cruise ship. After looting all the loot, Li Hao began to clean the battlefield and sweep the traces of the battle in order to keep it secret. Under the bombardment of high-voltage electromagnetic clusters, 7 completely scrapped sea arcs were completely turned into a pool of scrap iron and quickly sank. Sunset. 7 sea arcs were sunk to the bottom of the sea and disappeared forever on the sea. Those who covered the cruise ship are all solved, and by the way, the power of an electromagnetic position generator is also tested. The purpose of this operation has been successfully completed, so it is almost time to go back to the port of the official Steel Island trading area and deal with the loot this time. After cleaning up the traces of the battlefield, Li Hao did not delay much in this uninhabited sea. Immediately, let Jarvis start the same way back in the cruise ship and go to the port of the No. One Steel Island trading area again. After all, the loot harvested from this fishing operation is really a much bit. Among them, there are many things that he simply does not use or look at. Therefore, he was ready to return to the trading market of Steel Island and dispose of all the loot and exchange it for the materials he needed. Save this garbage and take up a lot of the limited storage space of the shelter. The road back was also very smooth. After several hours of sailing, the cruise ship once again docked inside the port of the trading area of the Steel Island. Compared with the first arrival, Li Hao's cruise ship docked this time and caused a lot of sensation in the circle of private sea ark shelters. The 6 or 7 sea arks that left with Li Hao did not return, only Li Hao's cruise ship returned. Anyone with a discerning eye knows what this means. Apparently, those who shot at the cruise ship were likely all dead. There's no dead one left. Thinking of this possibility, all the high-ranking people in the circle of the ark shelter at sea were shocked. After all, although the middle-aged people who make a living by looting other people's materials have a bad reputation in the circle of private sea arks, no one denies that these people dare to do so. At least their sea ark shelter is many times stronger in force than ordinary private sea shelters. And now these powerful sea ark shelters seem to be all folded in the hands of a cruise ship shelter of hundreds of tons. It's a big surprise. In order to verify this incredible speculation, the high level of these sea ark shelters also inquired whether the 6 or 7 sea arks that followed had returned, whether or not to stay in their area of residence. However, after the whole day, there was no news. It seems that those several sea ark shelters all disappeared inexplicably. 3.4 Confirming this news, most of the high-level people of the private sea ark shelter have a great fear of the cruise ship shelter where Li Hao is located. This strength is terrifying. This cruise ship shelter can easily wipe out the few powerful sea ark shelters, and dealing with these weaker ones is not the same as playing. In case, this cruise ship shelter also began to do no capital business at sea. That is probably much more harmful than the few disappeared sea ark shelters. Thinking of this possibility, many of the top officials of the maritime shelters decided to take a hand in the recent period, try to cooperate with other familiar sea ark shelters, and never leave behind. Let's observe the situation first. For a time, Li Hao's cruise ship shelter also began to become famous. By the way, the area around the docking area has become a no-go area. Chapter 113 Official Attention. Build a new base. No. One Steel Island trading area port. The effect of killing chickens and monkeys this time is too good. Sending away the official personnel who came to the door, Li Hao couldn't help but smile a little. These officials were recruited by the top brass of the private sea ark. To put it simply, he showed the strong strength of easily destroying 6 or 7 powerful sea ark shelters this time, which made many high-level members of the private sea ark extremely jealous and began to huddle together, for fear that he would also do no capital trading. In such a situation of panic, the official will naturally not sit idly by. This does not. He had only been docked in the port of the Steel Island trading area for a few hours. Officials came to the door to understand the situation. Although these officials did not say much and their attitude was quite good, it was clear that his cruise ship shelter was on the official focus list. In the future, as long as his cruise ship shelter enters official territory, it will inevitably be watched by official personnel. This is also something that was expected. Li Hao shook his head, not paying too much attention. As long as 15 exposes great strength, it will inevitably lead to such a result. After all, in official territory, any sea ark shelter that is too powerful is a destabilizing factor. For unstable factors, the official will definitely not ignore them. On the contrary, they will definitely monitor them at the first time to prevent any unknown harm and consequences. No one will be an exception to this. And he was not prepared to do anything bad on the official territory of the Xia Kingdom, and he would not even stay more on the official territory of the Xia Kingdom, so he naturally held an attitude of indifference. Let it pay attention to it. He won't be here for long anyway. After dealing with this batch of loot, it's almost time to set off to find a fixed place to stay. Sitting in the captain's room of the cruise ship, Li Hao planned his future actions. In fact, the idea of building another fixed base has been circling in his heart. It's just that he didn't make up his mind completely before. The reason for this idea is that the current submarine-type mobile ocean shelter, cruise ship form, can no longer meet his needs. The current submarine-type mobile marine shelter, cruise ship form, seems to be very flexible, but in fact, it is greatly limited in its development potential and has even reached a bottleneck. After all, the area of submarine-type mobile ocean shelters, cruise ship form, is extremely limited. It was completely finalized from the completion of construction. After the existing space is used, there is simply no way to expand more space. If there is no more space available, the development potential is exhausted. In such a situation, he clearly has only 2 options. One is to maintain the status quo, and the other is to find a fixed base to develop, just like his sanctuary before the ocean era. If you choose to maintain the status quo, the perfection of the submarine-type mobile ocean shelter, cruise ship form, will not be a big problem, and even Li Hao will live well for a long time in the future. But the speed of avoidance will be many times slower. For Li Hao, this is clearly impossible to endure. He can't be satisfied with that. In such a dangerous doomsday environment, slower development means that the future risk resistance is weaker. Born of sorrow and dying of happiness, this is an unchanging truth. Therefore, Li Hao naturally gave up the intention to maintain the status quo and chose to build another fixed shelter to obtain greater development space. Sorting out what to do in the future, Li Hao stopped thinking about it and walked towards the living room. I've been busy for most of the day, and it's almost time for dinner. June 8, 2021. Li Hao began sorting the loot captured yesterday. Then, everything that is not needed is disposed of at the market stall and replaced with canned fruit, medicine, or fruit trees that are ripe, which are still lacking in shelter or can improve the quality of life. However, due to the large number of people these 10 days also processed about 10/10ths of the loot. There are also piles of loot piled up in the cruise ship's storage silo Kari 202169 in order to quickly dispose of these unwanted things. Li Hao also abandoned yesterday's inefficient practice of selling in pieces, and began to pack up and sell the loot to other private Sea Ark shelters. Sure enough, the loot was processed several times faster at once. In just one day today, nearly half of the loot was sold. Of course, this is not without cost. After all, the price of a package sale is definitely much lower than that of a piecemeal sale. Otherwise, how could anyone be willing to buy it in a package? As a result, you can get at least 10% less stock than normal. That is no small amount. Ordinary people, and even the high level of other private Sea Ark shelters, would definitely prefer to take a slow shot rather than choose to sell it in a package for the sake of efficiency. Li Hao, on the other hand, does not care about such a small profit. Anyway, these loot are obtained for nothing. 260. The exchange was just icing on the cake for his shelter. A little more, a little less, doesn't really make much difference at all. The most important thing for him now is to dispose of these things as soon as possible and then go find a new site and build a new fixed shelter to exchange some insignificant benefits for higher efficiency. He will naturally not be unwilling. www.20216110. Thanks to the strategy of packing and selling, Li Hao finally disposed of all the combat power items at noon today. In the end, hundreds of live livestock such as pigs, ducks, geese, dozens of fruit trees in the ripe stage, and more than 10 tons of canned fruits were obtained. It was a bumper harvest. Not only has the shelter's material reserves become more abundant, but it has also made the shelter's self-production capacity more powerful. Things like pigs, geese, and fruits will continue to produce energy in the shelter in the future. Never worry about eating it all over again. Jarvis, leave the harbor and head toward the Pacific Ocean. Handle all the loot, and Li Hao does not stop at the port of the Steel Island trading area. After all, there's no point in staying any longer. He was ready to find a suitable place to build a new fixed base. Chapter 114. The address of the new base construction. The location of the fixed base is best built outside the radiation range of the official power. Otherwise, as soon as there is a wind, it will attract the full attention of the authorities, and the development of the fixed base will definitely be tied up at that time. Instead of this, it is better to leave the official sphere of influence of the Xia Kingdom from the beginning and jump out of the circle. After all, there are many borderlands on Blue Star now. However, the location of the fixed base is not too far away from the official Steel Island, otherwise there's no trading market, and it will be much more troublesome to complete the collection tasks released by the system in the future. After some thought, Li Hao also had a clear idea of the requirements for building a fixed base place. In short, the place where the fixed base is built should not be too close to the official power, and preferably not too far away. Too close and too far is not appropriate. With all his requirements listed, Li Hao asked Jarvis to start the screening through the official positioning satellite. A minute later, Jarvis. After the screening is completed, a total of 5,360 places meet the requirements. The voice felt. A map appears on the huge display of the front control console, densely marked with many red dots. Obviously, these are the locations selected by Jarvis to build a fixed base. Remove all locations in the original Pacific Ocean. Li Hao ordered again. After the arrival of the ocean era, the whole world was submerged by seawater. Naturally, the area of the Pacific Ocean is expanded countless times. But it is clear that there must be more and more terrible dangers lurking in the original waters of the Pacific Ocean before the arrival of the ocean era than those new seas that have just been submerged by the sea. He is not a fool. Naturally, it is impossible to run to a dangerous place, find guilt for himself, and put himself in danger. The voice fell. Jarvis quickly fulfilled Li Hao's request. The red dot on the huge screen is instantly less than half. In the end, there were only about 1,000 locations left that met the requirements. These sites are all in newly born seas, and more than a month ago they were land, so the danger should not be great. However, excluding the areas where the group's maritime refugees are clustered, there seems to be no room for choice. Qinghai City, more than 1,900 kilometers away, seems to be a good choice. The city of Qinghai was famous for its mineral production before the end of the world. The surrounding metal resources are quite abundant. Although it is now submerged by the sea, those metal resources will not disappear in a vacuum. It's just that mining is much more difficult. For Li Hao, this is obviously not a big problem. Just buy a few underwater mining robots and it can be easily solved. With the abundant supply of metal resources, the initial construction of the new fixed base should also be much faster. At least don't worry about a shortage of metal raw materials. That's it. Thinking of this, Li Hao no longer hesitated and directly decided on Qinghai City as the construction site of the new fixed base. Jarvis moved towards the location where the original Qinghai City is located. Receiving the order, Jarvis, who had already steered the cruise ship hundreds of nautical miles away from the official Steel Island, also calculated the best route to Qinghai City in an instant. Subsequently, the nuclear-powered vector engine of the cruise ship shelter was started at full power. Blue flames erupted, quickly pushing the cruise ship shelter toward the distant stop. Soon, it disappeared into the sea. June 11, 2021. The sun is blazing in the sky. The outside temperature has risen to 75 degrees, almost comparable to the temperature of the former desert area. The soaring temperatures make the air scorching and distorted. As the atmosphere gradually weakens and thinnens, the world gradually enters an era of high temperatures. In such high temperatures, it is naturally impossible for Li Hao to keep the shelter in the form of cruise ship exposed to the sun. Early in the morning, through a low-level metal deformation device, it was transformed back into a submarine-type mobile marine shelter and sailed to the bottom of the sea. After more than 10 hours of sailing, the submarine-type mobile ocean shelter is now less than 800 kilometers away from the original location of Qinghai City. 2:02:16:12. The weather is becoming more and more fickle. 1 second it was still bright and shining, but the next second it suddenly became cloudy. Countless lightning bolts danced and twinkled in that cloudy sky. Static electricity in the air. Under such strong electromagnetic interference, even if there's a small integrated signal base station, the submarine-type mobile marine shelter has temporarily lost the signal connection with communication satellites and positioning satellites. At the same time, the radar system of the submarine-type mobile marine shelter has also suffered considerable interference. Faced with this situation, in order not to get lost in the sea and encounter other unknowable risks, Li Hao decided to suspend the movement and let the submarine-type mobile marine shelter stop. Wait for the thunderstorm to pass. June 13, 2021. The sky outside is still gloomy. Countless violent thunder lightning bolts continue to fall from the clouds and bombarded the sea. It looks extremely scary. Of course, it just looks scary. In fact, as long as it is not struck head-on, the problem is not very big. For the submarine-type mobile ocean shelter lurking on the bottom of the sea, it has no effect. Li Hao. After all, water is electrically conductive. No matter how powerful these thunder lightning bolts are, no matter how much current energy they contain, they will be diluted and consumed by countless seawater after falling. With countless seawater barriers, these thunder lightning bolts simply cannot have much impact on the submarine-type marine mobile shelter itself. Therefore, Li Hao is still quite relieved. Although due to strong electromagnetic interference, it became blind, unable to move. But this is only temporary. Just wait for the thunderstorm to pass, and everything will return to normal. Calm down. Hiding in the shelter, Li Hao still maintains his original rhythm of life, almost unaffected by the outside weather. Play games with the three sisters Zhaozushi, and then go to the gym to stroke the iron and maintain your physical condition. And so the pleasant day passed. Chapter 115. Undersea Refuge Base. June 14, 2021. Midday. Today seems like Monday, and the taskbar should be refreshed again. After lunch, Li Hao lay on the sofa and opened the system refresh bar to check the new tasks refreshed inside. This time he was lucky and refreshed 3 tasks at once. Find the construction site of the new base, survival mission statement. You find that the submarine-type mobile marine shelter has limited development potential and intend to build a new fixed shelter base. Please take the first step as soon as possible to find the fixed shelter base construction site of your choice. Mission reward. Advanced life support wetsuit drawings. Construction of a new evacuation base, survival mission statement. You find that the submarine-type mobile marine shelter has limited development potential and intend to build a new fixed shelter base. Ask the host to build a new shelter base with an area of no less than 10,000 square meters within a month and improve it. Mission reward. Unknown, depending on mission completion, cleaning up threats, survival mission description. Disaster always comes quietly. Ask the host to arrive at the new shelter base construction site and clean up all threats in the surrounding area. Mission reward: 5,000 points. 570. Both missions are related to fixed shelter bases. Looking at these two tasks, Li Hao's face showed a hint of surprise. This is clearly not a coincidence. Maybe. Weekly task refreshes are regular. Based on what I've been doing recently for survival, weekly task refreshes will appear related tasks. After thinking about it, Li Hao also had an inference in his heart. There should be only one possibility. Otherwise, how could there be such a coincidence? With a conjecture in mind, Li Hao did not waste much effort on such side matters. Directly received all the two tasks that had just been refreshed in the task refresh sample. After receiving the task, Li Hao found through observation that the thunderstorm weather at sea that had been raging outside for a day and a night had finally completely dissipated. The electromagnetic interference in the air has also weakened a lot. The radar system returned to normal operation. Regaining his vision, Li Hao immediately ordered Jarvis to restart the submarine-type mobile ocean shelter and continue to sail in the direction of Qingbai City. According to the set goal. About 6 or 7 hours later, the submarine-type mobile marine shelter successfully reached the new sea area formed after the submersion of the former Qingbai. Finally here. Then it's time to get to work. As for how to deal with a new fixed shelter base, Li Hao also has a belly case in his heart. He was going to build an undersea shelter base. After all, if a fixed shelter is built on a sea full of seawater, then what is the difference from the current submarine-type mobile marine shelter? The same difficult to expand, the same limited potential. It is not even as good as a submarine-type mobile ocean shelter. At least submarine-type mobile oceans are much more flexible than shelter. They are able to move at will, down to the bottom of the sea, and avoid natural disasters at sea. In the construction of submarine shelter bases is different. With the presence of undersea land, it is much easier to expand and expand. At the same time, it can also combine some of the advantages of submarine-type mobile marine shelters, and can use the ocean as a barrier to avoid most natural disasters at sea. Simply perfect. However, although this scheme has many advantages and perfectly meets my needs, the difficulty of construction is also skyrocketing! With the current level of technology in the shelter, it is difficult to build a perfect underwater shelter in a short period of time. Underwater construction and land construction are completely two concepts. Difficulty is not a level at all. Under the same amount of work, sea construction is at least 100 times more difficult than land construction. Without the help of black technology tools, it is obviously impossible to quickly build an undersea shelter base from scratch in a short period of time. Good thing I have a plug-in! I remember that there are many things in the Doomsday Black Technology Mall that can isolate the seawater! As long as the seawater in the area where the base area for building the submarine shelter can be isolated, isn't the sea construction no different from the land construction? Thinking of this, Li Hao also couldn't wait to open the mall panel and start looking for what he needed. After some screening and comparison, Li Hao finally chose a device with high quality and low price. Small submarine water film generator conversion speed, 100 square meters/hour. Introduction. This is a machine specially designed to isolate seawater and build submarine buildings. Through special water film generation technology, the surrounding seawater is converted into a special water film, which is used to isolate seawater intrusion. Note: this special water film is extremely strong and can directly resist the huge water pressure of 5 kilometers below the sea. Price: 13,420 points. This area is a new sea area formed after the submersion of the original Qingbai City area, and the depth of the seawater is definitely not more than 2,000 meters, and the strength of the water film created by this device is completely sufficient. The most important thing is that the price is not expensive, only 13,420 points. He now has less than 40,000 points in his hand. There are many places where points are needed to build an undersea shelter base. It is obviously impossible for him to spend all his points on this one aspect. Thinking of this, Li Hao no longer hesitated and directly chose to buy -13,420. The small subsa water film generator appears in the system inventory. Remove it from your inventory. The next moment, a boxy, black box-like instrument appeared in front of Li Hao's eyes. Looking at the instruction manual that came with the instrument, Li Hao found that the use of this thing was very simple. Just set how many square meters of seawater to isolate on its display panel, and then throw it directly to the bottom of the sea. At that time, the device will automatically start working. Everything is ready, only the east wind is out. Now that the equipment and instruments for isolating the seawater are available, it is time to find a good place and start building an undersea refuge base. Understanding how to use this thing, Li Hao immediately ordered Jarvis to maneuver the submarine-type mobile ocean shelter around the area. Find the best locations around the area to build an undersea refuge base. 6 6 6 6 6 6 6 6 6 6 6 6 6 6 6 6 6 6 6 6 6 6 6 6 6 6 6 6 6 6 6 6 6 6 6 6 6 6 6 6 6 6 6 6 6 6 6 6 6 6 6 6 6 6 6 6 6 6 PS. Today's explosion of Kabinka, tomorrow see if this day can be better. If you're listening to this novel on a channel other than Fanfic World, it means they downloaded and uploaded it without effort. We cordially invite you to visit our channel, Mundo Fanfic Novelas. There you'll find the original version of this story and you can explore many other novels of various genres. We're waiting for you to immerse yourself in a world of incredible novels. Chapter 116 Pyramid Design. Fully automatic seabed mining robot. After touring the surrounding waters of the submarine-type mobile ocean shelter, Li Hao also chose the location of the submarine base in mind. He decided to build a location of the submarine base near a metal mine 10 kilometers southeast of the former Qingbai city. It is a gathering place of mines in Qingbai city, and there are many underground veins with abundant reserves. The advantages of choosing this place are quite obvious, and it is very easy to collect a considerable amount of metal minerals nearby. The easy acquisition of metal resources is of considerable benefit to the construction of submarine bases and the expansion of submarine bases in the future. It's better to build a larger underwater shelter at one time. This makes it easier to expand the facility in the future. The use of each area should also be well planned and integrated, and it cannot be the same as the previous expansion of submarine-type mobile marine shelters, one hammer in the east and one mallet in the west. According to different functions, it can be divided into industrial manufacturing area, biological research and development area, agricultural planting area, and rest area. After thinking about it, Li Hao's requirements for the construction of this underwater refuge base became clearer and clearer. He plans to take the opportunity of this new submarine shelter to integrate the various facilities and equipment inside the submarine-type mobile marine refuge to make its work more efficient. After determining his requirements, Li Hao walked to the mechanical warehouse, started the fully automatic multifunctional mechanical building octopus in stand B, and output these construction requirements and parameters on its operation panel. Then, click to deduce the construction drawings of the submarine refuge base. 10 minutes later, a construction drawing of a 15,000 square meter undersea shelter base has been freshly baked. At a glance, Li Hao was a little dissatisfied. It's a little too ugly. Like a caterpillar curled up. Even if he didn't care much about the appearance of the undersea refuge base, he couldn't accept such a strange shape. Modify the requirements. Li Hao clicked deduce again. 3 minutes. Another architectural drawing for the construction of the base of the submarine shelter was released. The final renderings of the construction drawings this time were good. Li Hao nodded in satisfaction. The final renderings of the construction drawings of the submarine base present a pyramid-like shape. According to this design, this pyramid-like underwater refuge is divided into 3 levels. The lowest and widest layer is the industrial manufacturing area, the biological research and development area, the agricultural planting area, etc. The middle floor is the food storage area, oxygen production area, rest area, entertainment area. At the top is the weapons area where various weapon systems are placed. Not only is the hierarchy clear, the regional planning is clear, and the space utilization rate is also very high. Best of all, the blueprint designed the base of the submarine pyramid using some kind of advanced embedded extended architectural design. Expanding new areas and new facilities is very easy and convenient. You only need to build the module if you want to expand a new facility, and then embed it in the 3-level partition of the submarine pyramid base, which meets the characteristics of the facility module. That's it. After making sure that this drawing perfectly met his requirements, Li Hao did not much delay and was directly ready to drive. Bring submarine-type mobile ocean shelter to selected construction locations. After activating a small water film generation device and setting 15,000 square meters of seawater to isolate Li threw it out of the underwater inlet. Fall to the bottom of the sea. The working indicator of the small water film generator illuminates in vain. A strange humming sound sounded, and the small water film generation device officially began to work. The surrounding seawater is rapidly transformed into a near-transparent bright water film under the action of a small water film generation device. In the area shrouded by this water film, all the seawater is repelled. Under the dim seabed, the crystal transparent water film separates the seawater out of thin air, leaving the land bare again. This bizarre scene is like a dream. with the conversion speed of a small water film generation device, 100 square meters per hour, about 2,400 square meters can be opened up in one day, so it will take about 6 days to open up 15,000 square meters of seabed space. It's not long. And when the small water film generation device opens up the submarine space, I can also start other preparations for the construction of the submarine refuge base in advance. After recovering from the dream scene in front of him and making sure that there was no problem with the small water film generation device, Li Hao immediately turned and walked towards the industrial manufacturing room. Metal is needed to build an undersea refuge base, a lot of metal. And the metal storage in the submarine-type mobile ocean shelter is clearly not enough. In order to obtain enough metal resources to build a refuge base under the sea, he needs to mine the metal veins in the surrounding seas. At present, there are no machines in the shelter that can be used to mine seabed ore. If you want to solve this problem, you can only rely on the system. Coming to the Super 3D printer bed, Li Hao opens the Doomsday Technology Mall to find black technology that can be used for seabed mineral mining. After some comparison and screening, Li Hao also quickly found what he needed. Fully automatic seabed mining octopus weight. 1 ton movement method. Vector propulsion number of mechanical tentacles. 32, comes with various mining tools to deal with various mining problems, functional design. Waterproof and waterproof shell, mining machinery tentacles, medical thrusters power source. Electrical energy introduction. Mechanical engineering creation, a seabed mining robot designed for the purpose of seabed mining operations, using vector nozzles to propel and move, very flexible, built-in graphite battery block once charged, can be all-weather mining for more than half a month, chip built in various mineral programs, can automatically find veins, to deal with various mining problems. Note: this kind of seabed mining robot is only suitable for sea areas with a depth of less than 3,000 meters. Can only be used in the sea within 3,000 meters ? But that's enough. Looking hesitate at the parameters of the seabed mining robot, Li Hao did not at all and bought it directly. Chapter 117 Undersea City Ruins, Mutated Giant Marlin Schools -7600 Next second dog drawings of the fully automated seabed mining octopus appear in a system inventory. This drawing is removed from the inventory and entered into the drawing library of the Super 3D printer bed. A minute later. Seeing the manufacturing option of fully automated seabed mining octopus appear on the printer bed display, Li Hao put in the required manufacturing materials and clicked on the manufacturing without hesitation. Airplanes. Super 3D printer bed starts. Under the printing of countless robotic arms with various high-end technology printing devices, the extremely precise parts are quickly assembled together. About 10 minutes later, a black mechanical octopus 6 meters tall with 32 mechanical tentacles came down from the tracks of the printer bed. It looks much bigger than the fully automatic multifunctional mechanical building octopus 683 ! However, the actual mass is much smaller than that, and it is deliberately designed because of deep-sea mining operations. It makes perfect sense. After all, compared with air, seawater itself has a considerable buoyancy. Deliberately designed so large, not only can increase the capacity of loaded minerals, but also with the help of more of the buoyancy of seawater itself, reduce energy loss. Looking at the black mechanical octopus in front of him, Li Hao thought thoughtfully. Open the properties panel for this black mechanical octopus. Fully automatic seabed mining octopus mining efficiency. 20 tons/hour. According to the shape of the mining efficiency will also fluctuate, but there will not be much difference. Mineral loading capacity. 30 cubic meters. Introduction. A seabed mining robot designed for the purpose of seabed mining operations, after finding seabed veins, can quickly mine a large number of seabed mineral resources. The mineral loading capacity is 30 cubic meters, which means that at least 100 tons of ore can be transported back at a time. With a collection efficiency of 20 tons per hour, it only takes about 5 hours to fill. Seeing the loading capacity of the fully automatic seabed mining octopus, Li Hao also had a satisfied smile on his face. Nearly 100 tons of metal ore were collected in 5 hours. The efficiency of the seabed mining is already quite fast. There are more than enough raw materials to operate the metal furnace inside the shelter at full power. This kind of good thing, you can produce a few more units. Click production again. 20 minutes later. 2 more fully automated seabed mining octopuses came down from the Super 3D printer bed. Jarvis drove the submarine-type mobile ocean shelter to a mining area near Kingby City, and Li Hao activated the 3 fully automated seabed mining octopuses to release them all. 3 fully automated seabed mining octopuses begin to work, and the suction cups vector nozzles on their tentacles spew orange flames, moving nimbly and quickly towards the mining area to begin the mining and collecting work. The preparations for the construction of the submarine refuge base are already as long as the small water film generation device opens up enough seafloor space, the construction of the submarine shelter can be directly started. Next, it's time to patrol the surrounding waters and clean up possible safety hazards in the surrounding waters. It just so happens that the task to find the construction site of the new base has been completed, and the vacated mission slot can receive the new mission. Opening the task refresh bar, Li Hao took the survival task of cleaning up threats. 3 tasks were refreshed this week. However, since there were only 2 mission slots, he only received 2 missions: find the construction site of the new base and build a new refuge base mission. Now that the find the construction site of the new base mission has been completed, he will naturally be able to receive a new mission again. After receiving the mission, Li Hao began to let Jarvis control a submarine-type mobile ocean shelter and began to patrol the sea area around the former Qingbai city. Touring the sea outside the former Qingbai city, Li Hao saw many strange mutated sea creatures, but almost none of them could be called a threat. The largest of they are just a white sea snake nearly 10 meters long. However, for the sake of safety, Li Hao still uses the high-voltage current beam of the electromagnetic stance generator to kill all the mutated sea creatures over 5 meters in size. After clearing the nearby sea, Li Hao asked Jarvis to control the submarine's Mobile Ocean Institute to drive towards the ruined area of Qingbai City. The flooded sea area of the former Qingbai City is the real highlight. Although it has long been turned into a huge ruins by the tsunami, the terrain has become extremely complicated. This complex terrain is the favorite shelter and predation ground for many marine creatures. The number and variety of marine life hiding there is definitely much more than the sea outside the city of Qingbai City. Sure enough, as soon as the submarine-type mobile marine shelter drove into the ruins, Li Hao discovered a large group of mutated sea creatures. A giant marlin nearly 8 meters long is swimming leisurely through the ruins. The long dart-like part of the nose snout shimmers with a metallic sheen. It looks extremely hard and sharp. As if discovering him as an intruder, thousands of giant marlins were like sharp arrows, tearing through the barriers of the seawater and galloping towards the submarine-type mobile ocean shelter. Its speed is visually measured at more than 310 km/h. Under such a fast-speed impact, coupled with its sharp and hard giant head dart, its piercing force is so powerful, I am afraid that a cruise ship made of steel alloy will easily be pierced out of a big hole. Thousands of such giant marlin charged, and before they could take it off guard, an ocean fleet would be destroyed in their hands. However, if you want to deal with the shell-armored submarine-type mobile ocean shelters, this is still far from 3.2. Roughly estimating the threat posed by the charge of the giant marlin, Li Hao's face did not change at all, but showed a confident smile. You know, the shell of the submarine-type mobile ocean shelter is made of a large number of energy-absorbing alloys. The defense is so strong that even the explosion of Tomahawk missiles cannot damage the slightest. Under such a strong defense, the charge of those giant marlin is just suicide. This is like a normal person running with all his strength, hitting a steel wall, and the final end must be a death. The brain case will be completely shattered, and the brain plasma will flow to the ground. As long as they can't penetrate the defenses of submarine-type shelters, these giant marlins will end up like normal people hitting the wall with their brain cases. The faster the acceleration, the stronger the impact and penetration, and the more miserable the death. Chapter 118 The Marine Intelligent Creatures. The mutant giant devilfish appears. Knowing this, Li Hao did not mean to expand the strong magnetic stance shield defense of the electromagnetic stance generator at all. Instead, sit firmly on the fishing platform and let those mutated giant marlin attack. A few seconds later, one by one, the mutated giant marlin accelerated in the extreme, like a metal javelin that broke through the air, and rushed towards the submarine-type mobile marine shelter. Everywhere it passes, the seawater is carved out of a vacuum channel. The momentum is extremely terrifying. As if nothing could stop their charge. With such momentum and might, the long dart above the head of the mutant giant marlin slammed into the shell armored the submarine-type mobile marine shelter. Bang! 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 A series of metal clashes like the sound of muffled thunder resounded at the bottom of the sea. I saw that when the mutated giant marlin crashed on the submarine-type mobile ocean mobile shelter, it seemed to hit an impregnable terrifying wall, and 15 was instantly shaken to pieces by the force of the defense. The more ferocious the offensive, the more miserable the death. For a time, countless blood flowers spread out on the shell armored the submarine-type mobile ocean shelter. The whole picture is full of a charming, cruel beauty. It seems that stimulated by blood, the group of mutated giant marlin that hit the south wall is even more crazy. More mutant marlin gathered from nearby and frantically charged towards the submarine-type mobile ocean shelter where Li Hao was, like bullets out of the chamber. The submarine-type mobile marine shelter that is the target of attack is like an impregnable reef, withstanding round after round of attacks. It is like a clash of spears and shields. And in this confrontation, it is clear that the shield is superior. The spear that broke the surface with a point could not help to get the shield at all. However, the powerful defensive power of the shield makes the attacking spear useless, and it is directly broken. In such a situation, the outcome of this big war is clearly already preordained. Minutes. The submarine-type mobile ocean shelter is still quietly hovering on the bottom of the sea, and there is no trace of attack on the shell armor. The surrounding seawater was stained red with countless blood. At least thousands of mutated giant marlins turned into corpse pieces and slowly sank to the bottom of the sea. The results are already obvious. It seems that under the influence of the evolutionary radiation attached to meteorites, these mutated giant marlins have not only become physically stronger, but also made considerable progress in intelligence. Even learned to huddle, formed the concepts of ethnic groups, territories, etc. Looking at such a bloody scene, Li Hao thoughtfully. The crazy sending to death behavior of mutating the giant marlin just now is obviously extremely abnormal. Normally, once they encounter an invasion or find an intruder that is impossible to resist, out of the instinct of low-level creatures to seek benefits and avoid harm, these mutant giant marlins should be scattered and flee as soon as possible. However, the opposite is true. These exotic giant fish gather more and more, forming submarine-type mobile ocean shelters, which are invading their territory. Obviously, this is a situation that only occurs with the concept of huddles, ethnic groups, territories, etc. Not seeing the big picture. Compared with before the mutation evolution, the intelligence of the giant marlin after the mutation has been greatly improved. According to the development of this situation, there may be a large number of intelligent races in the sea in the future. Thinking of this possibility, Li Hao's face also showed solemnity. Wisdom is the most powerful weapon of mankind, and it is also the reliance on the top of the blue star food chain. In the future, if there is a marine biological group with intelligence comparable to or surpassing humans in the blue star sea, the picture will be great, but this shouldn't happen anytime soon! After all, it is not so simple to evolve a biological race with complete intelligence. At present, although the intelligence of most marine organisms has improved after mutation, it is not actually high. Otherwise, it would be impossible to do such a thing that is not retreating. Thinking of the picture of the mutated giant marlin sending him to death just now, Li was also relieved in his heart. This level of intelligence is no different from intellectual disability. On the contrary, it is better to have no intelligence, and the survival instinct determines the action. It is easier to survive. Thinking of this, Li Hao also temporarily put aside his worries about the emergence of marine intelligent life races. Don't think about it anymore. Let Jarvis control a submarine-type mobile marine shelter to collect several mutated giant marlins with relatively complete corpses, and seal and refrigerate them. After saving it for later research, Li Hao prepared to continue the sea patrol tour. He does not believe that in the huge ruins formed in the urban area of the former Qingbai city, there is only the mutated giant marlin, a threatening and powerful aggressive marine life group. Just as the submarine-type mobile marine shelter is preparing to continue to the depths of the ruins of the underwater city. Woo-hoo! A strange cry sounded. A huge, flat creature resembles a jet plane, speeding from the depths of the ruins of the underwater city towards the 950 side. Its body size is more than 90 meters, the skin is dark and rough, and there are many barbs. The white belly also has a strange pattern similar to a smiling human face. This is a perverted evolutionary individual of the devilfish. Seeing the image of this underwater behemoth, Li Hao couldn't help but change his face. That's unlucky. The mutated giant octopus that encountered the hunting state before was also counted. Now he actually ran into an ocean monster again. Could it be that there are really many such perverted evolutionary individuals in the ocean? Otherwise, in just 1 month, how could he directly encounter two? And this one seems to be much more fierce than the previous one. Good fellow. This mutant giant devilfish is about to grow to hundreds of meters. The mutant giant octopus of more than 50 meters that I encountered before is simply a smelly brother in front of it. Thinking of this, Li Hao's heart was also heavy. Just the size difference is doubled, then the strength gap must be even greater. Although the electromagnetic stance generator installed in the submarine-type mobile ocean shelter can easily kill the mutated giant octopus, it cannot kill this mutant giant mantafish that is nearly 100 meters. It's really hard to say. Chapter 119 Battle between top predators. I hope that the vitality of this monster is not as tenacious as the mutated giant octopus, otherwise the task of cleaning up the threat is really a bit difficult. Li Hao thought to himself. This mutant giant mantafish is too big. If it is as tenacious as the mutated giant octopus, coupled with its huge size, it may be difficult for the high-voltage current cluster to play a decisive role. You can't even kill this monster at all. After all, in the ocean, electricity is consumed by seawater. Even if the high voltage current is emitted in a cluster, there is a strong magnetic field to constrain a stable current, but when the hit bursts, the current will inevitably be consumed by seawater. In this case, it is really difficult to say how much damage the high voltage current cluster can do to this mutated giant manta ray. Just as Li Hao was estimating the strength of the mutated giant manta ray. The mutated giant manta fish also seems to have discovered a submarine-type mobile ocean shelter. The wing-like pectoral fins on both sides changed direction in an instant, swimming towards the submarine-type mobile ocean shelter. Jarvis, calculate its purpose, whether this mutant giant manta fish is hostile to the submarine-type mobile ocean shelter. Looking at the mutated giant manta fish that suddenly changed direction and came towards the submarine-type moving ocean shelter, Li Hao's face changed, and he immediately turned to Jarvis and opened his mouth to order. Jarvis. Yes, sir. After receiving the order, Jarvis immediately began to deduce the purpose of this mutated giant manta through a small biological supercomputer. A few seconds later. Jarvis. Sir. After calculation, there is a 65% chance that this mutant giant manta fish was attracted by the blood that escaped after the death of the mutant giant marlin, 25% because we invaded the hunting ground of this mutated giant manta fish, and the remaining 10% may be due to some unknown factors that are currently undetected. You said that the mutant giant manta is most likely attracted to the blood of the mutant giant marlin to prey. Hearing this, Li Hao was also a little speechless. Yes. According to the habit calculus before the devilfish was not mutated, this species is the most likely. Jarvis replied. Since it's for food, why did this mutant giant manta fish come straight to the submarine-type mobile ocean shelter? Li Hao was also a little confused. It stands to reason that the mutant giant manta should eat the corpses of those mutated giant marlins as soon as possible. How could it rush directly towards a submarine-type mobile ocean shelter? This mutant giant manta fish most likely has an extremely strong sense of territory, and the ruins of this underwater city should be what it considers to be the hunting ground. The creatures in the hunting ground are all its own. The act of submarine-type mobile marine shelters entering the ruins of underwater cities and killing mutant giant marlins should be regarded as predators invading hunting grounds, so mutated giant manta rays have a tendency to attack the shelter as soon as they see it. This is the same as one mountain does not allow two tigers. The appearance of another apex predator is tantamount to greatly reducing the number of prey in the hunting ground and affecting the survival of the original apex predator. In order to avoid this, the powerful original predators obviously cannot tolerate the new apex predators entering their hunting grounds. The first time you see it, you will shoot or kill it. The sudden tendency of mutated giant manta rays to move towards submarine-type marine shelters is based on this. Jarvis, turn on the attack mode of the electromagnetic stance generator and activate the maximum power attack on the mutated giant manta ray. Now that he understood the attack intention of the mutated giant manta ray, Li Hao no longer hesitated to attack, and directly chose to strike first, and launched a tentative attack at the first time. He wanted to test how effective the high-voltage current cluster cannon was on the mutated giant manta ray. If it can effectively kill, it is best. Even if it doesn't work, he can quickly switch to other attack schemes. Receiving Li Hao's order, Jarvis immediately carried it out. Thick iron pipes extend from the front-bottom armor of the submarine-type mobile marine shelter. The silver-white furious arc of electricity was still beating and accumulating on these thick iron pipes. The strong current even forms a strong magnetic field that disperses the surrounding seawater. After a few seconds of energy storage. Bang. A high-voltage current several meters thick gathered through the seawater and slammed into the mutated giant manta fish 2 kilometers ahead. The current burst. The silvery white high-voltage current turned the surrounding 100 meters of seawater into a thunder. Held out in an instant, the figure of the mutant giant devilfish was covered with countless silver-white currents. Woo! A strange cry with anger and pain sounded. In the next second, the electric light dissipated, and the mutated giant manta ray's eyes were blood red, and it rushed madly towards the submarine-type mobile shelter. Obviously, the electric shock just now had completely angered this ocean troll. Seeing this, Li Hao's brows also frowned because he found that the high-voltage current cluster cannon just now, except for hurting the mutated giant manta ray, did not seem to have much success. The white belly on his abdomen is only a trace of scorched black. It doesn't seem to hurt much at all, let alone the paralyzing effect attached to the current. Even if this mutant giant manta has as strong life force as I guessed, and its body function is several times stronger than the previous mutated giant octopus, the high-voltage current cluster cannon can't be just so effective! This damage is a bit outrageously low! Since this is the case, it is obvious that there is something in this mutant giant manta that can resist electricity. Jarvis, can you deduce the reason why that high-voltage current cluster cannon has little effect on it? Li Hao frowned and spoke. Jarvis, lack of data. More data from high-voltage current cluster gun attacks are needed for computational comparison. Then continue to use high voltage current cluster gun attacks until you have enough analytical data. Hearing this, in order to find out the source of the ability of this mutant giant matter to resist the high voltage current cluster cannon, Li Hao ordered again. Receiving the order, Jarvis once again began to control a barrel of the electromagnetic stance generator, and Li Hao constantly fired high voltage current beams at the mutated giant matter speeding ahead. A continuous stream of silver electric light illuminates the dark seabed. Under the bombardment of the high voltage current cluster, the mutant giant matterfish also let out a painful howl, but she never suffered much damage. Instead, he rushed towards the submarine-type mobile ocean shelter even more furiously. It seems that it is intended to tear the submarine-type mobile marine shelter to shreds. In the face of the killing intent of the mutated giant matter ray, Jarvis did not receive Li Hao's order, nor did he mean hard steel. Directly played kite tactics. Give full play to the advantages of submarine-type mobile marine shelter nuclear-powered vector engine with strong power and flexible steering. Fight and retrieve under Jarvis's superb driving skills. No matter how the mutated giant matter chases, it is always so far away, and it is impossible to catch up with the submarine-type mobile ocean refuge gas. It can only be emitted an extremely angry and competent roar. Chapter 120 Special Insulating Skin, The Way of Life of Giant Devilfish. 6 minutes later. Jarvis. Through the attack just now, enough analytical data has been obtained to calculate the reason why the high voltage current cluster gun has little effect on it. After data calculation, 85% of the possibility is that this mutant giant matterfish has evolved some kind of special insulating skin, 10% is that this mutant giant matterfish has evolved some kind of unknown power storage organ in its body, and the remaining 5% may be some unknown factors, special insulated skin. No wonder the damage of the high voltage current cluster hitting the sky is so low. Hearing this, Li Hao's face also showed a hint of light. After all, insulating skin means almost no conduction. In the case of not conducting electricity, the electric attack mutant giant matter rays can only stay on the skin of its body for a short time at most, which can cause pain but cannot enter its body and attack its internal organs and flesh and blood. In this case, low damage is naturally a matter of course. In the face of this kind of opponent with power isolation, the high voltage current cluster is not as easy to use as a simple explosive weapon like torpedo missiles. Knowing the specific reason for the mutant giant matter ray's resistance to electricity, Li Hao also sighed helplessly. This insulated skin is too restrained to electrical weapons. Of course, the performance of torpedo missiles may not be much better than 577 than high voltage current clustering. After previous tentative attacks, Li Hao found that the skin of this mutant giant matterfish was not only insulated, but also extremely tough, and a thick, mucus-like translucent liquid was attached to it, which could greatly reduce the impact force. According to Jarvis's calculations, ordinary torpedo missiles hit this mutant giant matterfish, just like an adult being blown up by a small firecracker. The strength of the attack is about equal to tickling. So meticulous. This mutant giant matterfish really knows how to die, and the evolutionary route seems to be crazy skin defenses all the way. This skin defense is simply outrageous. Faced with this situation, Li Hao was also a little speechless. Because he found that the attack method of using the submarine-type mobile ocean shelter really couldn't help this mutated giant matterfish for the time being. High voltage current clusters. That the mutant giant matterfish sees the situation and escapes. That is disgusting. Jarvis, calculate the method and success rate of the submarine-type mobile ocean shelter to kill this mutated giant matterfish. Although he couldn't think of any reliable way to kill this mutant giant matterfish at one time in a submarine-type mobile ocean shelter, Li Hao still ordered Jarvis with the intention of filling in the gaps just in case. Ordered to do the math through a small super-biological computer while Jarvis performs calculations on the increasingly violent mutated giant devilfish behind the kite. A minute later. On the LCD screen of the main control room of the submarine-type mobile marine shelter, one by one, the plans to deal with a mutated giant matter were listed by Jarvis. But there's no plan that can really kill this mutant giant matter with a high probability. The highest success rate is only 15%. According to the implementation of this plan, unless this mutant giant matterfish completely loses its mind, even if it is seriously injured and does not escape, it will be possible to kill it. It seems that this mutant giant matterfish is really undead for the time being. Jarvis, turn off the attack mode of the electromagnetic stance generator, turn on the burst mode, directly control the submarine-type mobile ocean shelter, and use the maximum power to crash into the body of this mutated giant matter ray. Looking at the touching success rate of these schemes, I also gave up the idea of directly killing the mutant giant matterfish for the time being. Since you can't kill it, let's beat it away first. Otherwise, it would be a hassle for such a deep-sea monster to follow behind a submarine-type mobile ocean shelter all the time. He doesn't have so much faff to waste on this mutant giant matter that can't be killed for the time being. Therefore, he was ready to beat it all at once and let this mutated giant matter fish get out on its own. Of course, it would be better if this mutant giant matter fish could stay on and not go. This is a chance for him to kill. At that time, he will naturally make this mutated giant matter fish turn into a dead fish. Yes, sir. Sensing Li Hao's intentions, Jarvis immediately began to carry out the order. The agitated high-voltage current cluster stops in vain. Then, a strong magnetic field shield rose from the perimeter of the submarine-type mobile ocean shelter, and the silver furious thunder spread madly towards the surrounding sea like a dragon. At the same time, the power chamber behind the submarine-type mobile ocean shelter erupted with nearly 20 meters of blue flames, which burst into the surrounding underwater space. Full power. The strong horizontal power counting thousands of tons began to erupt. Under the control and driving of Jarvis, the submarine-type mobile ocean shelter bathed in that thunder is like a sea train, with an unstoppable momentum crashed towards the mutated giant manta ray. Due to the artificial intelligence control throughout the process, this series of actions is carried out almost simultaneously, which is ridiculously fast. The mutant giant manta fish in a state of rage was hit squarely before it could even react. Bang. The submarine-type mobile ocean shelter crashed into the mutant giant manta ray, like several tactical missiles exploding. A powerful shockwave instantly exploded on its body. At the same time, the high-voltage current raging around the submarine-type mobile ocean shelter also seemed to find a target, and frantically bombarded the mutated giant manta ray. In an instant, suffering from the double attack of shock and electricity, the mutated giant manta fish couldn't help but let out a strange hiss of pain. Then, like an off-string arrow, it flew out upside down and hit the mud at the bottom of the sea. Dirt remaining. The surrounding seawater was instantly polluted by the mud and became very turbid. A few seconds later, the mutated giant manta fish that crashed into the silt on the bottom of the sea did not move. It was as if the impactful impact just now knocked him out. Jarvis rushed straight in and continued to crash. Seeing this, Li Hao was also bright golden opportunity. If the mutant giant manta is stunned, maybe there's a chance to kill it. With a super pulse laser array radar, the turbid seawater has no effect on the submarine-type mobile ocean shelter at all. The submarine-type mobile ocean shelter still tightly locks the location of the mutated giant manta ray. Receiving the order, Jarvis once again controlled the submarine-type mobile ocean shelter, rushed directly into the murky water, and slammed into the position shown on the radar system. Chapter 121 The Mutant Giant Devilfish That Fled in Embarrassment. Bang! Thunder and lightning danced. Surrounded by countless electric snakes, the submarine-type mobile ocean shelter slammed into the mutated giant manta ray again. Roar! After receiving a heavy blow, the mutant giant manta fish let out a painful and strange sigh, and it was knocked out. Without the mutant giant manta fish breathing time, Jarvis once again maneuvered the submarine-type mobile ocean shelter to catch up and attack, as Li Hao requested. For a time, the mutated giant manta ray, which looked extremely hideous and terrifying, was like a leather ball, and the submarine-type mobile ocean shelter was bumped around. The hiss of madness and pain resounded in the surrounding seas. However, the skin defense of this mutant giant devilfish is too strong and tough. It also has a great cushion against impact forces. Even the continuous impact of submarine-type mobile ocean shelters is difficult to cause real fatal damage to them. And over time, the mutant giant manta fish even began to slowly adapt to the vertigo caused by the impact. The time for vertigo was also getting shorter and shorter. It seems that you can't kill this mutated giant devilfish for the time being. Observing this situation, Li Hao also sighed helplessly. Although the original purpose of the collision of the submarine-type mobile ocean shelter just now was only to knock this mutant giant manta ray away. But if you can kill it, it is naturally the best. After all, he still has the system task of cleaning up threat. Without killing this mutated giant devilfish entrenched in the ruins of an underwater city, it is obviously impossible to complete this task. Unfortunately, judging from the current trend, this mutated giant devilfish with strong skin defense thieves, he really can't kill. Unless this mutant giant manta does not run at all, it can hit thousands of times with the entrance of the submarine-type mobile ocean shelters shook it to death. Sure enough, after the 65th collision, the mutated giant manta ray seemed to have completely adapted to the impact of submarine-type mobile ocean refuge. After flying out upside down, Jarvis immediately sobered up before he could drive the submarine-type mobile ocean shelter again. However, the experience of being bumped around like a leather ball just now seems to have given this mutant giant manta a huge psychological shadow, knowing the horror of the blacktop predator in front of him. The first time he woke up, this mutated giant devilfish that was extremely hideous and terrifying in the eyes of ordinary people, the eyes of the two ministers of several meters flashed a trace of fear. Seeing Jarvis driving the submarine-type mobile ocean shelter again, he was about to collide, and he was like a frightened bird, trembling. Then, the wind like petrol fins on both sides erupted a special gas, quickly swimming towards the depths of the ruins of the underwater city transformed by King by City. The speed of the instant explosion is simply comparable to the Divajet fighter. Less than a minute. This mutated giant mantafish hundreds of meters in size disappeared into the ruins of the underwater city and disappeared from Li Hao's sight. Jarvis, has the lair of the mutated giant devilfish been found? Not paying attention to the mutated giant mantafish fleeing, Li Hao turned to Jarvis and asked. That's right, he's a giant devil target. Anyway, this mutant giant devilfish can't be killed for the time being, and if it continues to entangle, it is just a waste of time. It is better to let it escape and find the location of its cave. Wait until you are sure of killing, and then go over and kill it. Jarvis. Sir, according to the Super Pulse Laser Array radar, after the mutant giant manta ray escaped, its speed dropped a lot, and it is currently moving towards the southern urban area of the former King by City at a speed of 150 km per hour. Continue monitoring and calculate the location of the nest of the mutated giant manta ray. Hearing this, Li Hao continued. As for whether the mutant giant manta ray will run out of the detection range, he wasn't worried at all. After all, the detection range of Super Pulse Laser Array radar is thousands of kilometers. Unless the mutated giant devilfish ran thousands of kilometers overnight and completely left the sea area, otherwise he wanted to avoid the monitoring and logging of the Super Pulse Laser Array radar. After receiving the order, Jarvis immediately continued to work, monitoring the footage of the Super Pulse Laser Array radar. A few minutes later. Jarvis. Sir, that mutant giant mantafish has completely stopped moving. Asked for flowers. After calculating its movement data, the range and nest location of this giant mutant mantafish have been roughly calculated. Very good. Hearing this, Li Hao also nodded in satisfaction. If you can run a monk, you can't run a temple. Just master the nest and location of the mutant giant manta ray. The next time he comes back, it's the time of death for this mutant giant manta ray. Jarvis, let's go back to the previously selected undersea base construction site. Thinking of this, Li Hao took a deep look at the deep and complex ruins of the underwater city in front of him, and said to Jarvis. Tossing until now, the time is not early. Something to talk about tomorrow. Even if you want to go deep into the ruins of the underwater city and hunt down the mutated giant manta ray, there is no need to rush at this time. Upon receiving the order, Jarvis immediately steered the submarine-type mobile ocean shelter and began to return the same way. Blue tail flames erupt. Under the control of Jarvis, the submarine-type mobile ocean refuge quickly left the ruins of this dead underwater city and headed off into the distance. Return to the previously selected undersea base construction site. After confirming that the small water film generator was still working properly, Li Hao was also relieved. At the end of the day, the most important thing for him now is to build an undersea refuge. Cleaning up the surrounding waters of threats, while important, is at best a secondary goal. After all, from the ocean trolls he saw so far, the threat was not very great. At least for him. As long as the seabed refuge foundation is built, whether those ocean monsters have the ability to break it is still two words. However, 4 or 5 days before the small water film generator completes the expansion of offshore oil in the seabed space, this time has nothing to do, and it can be used to complete the task of cleaning up threats and remove all possible potential safety hazards around. Especially that mutant giant mantafish can't be let go. Otherwise, if it continues to evolve, its skin defense will probably become stronger and stronger. After arranging the things to do during this time, Li Hao walked out of the main control room and walked towards the living room. It's time to go to dinner. Chapter 122 Torpedo Missile Launch System, Over the Horizon Strike. After eating the sumptuous dinner prepared by Zhazuba. After a moment of warmth with Zhazushi, Li Hao walked towards the industrial workshop. This encounter with a mutant manta made him realize that the weapon system of the submarine-type mobile ocean shelter was still too single. Although there are black technology weapons such as electromagnetic stance generators, it is obviously impossible for one black technology weapon to solve all enemies. Just like this time, in the face of an opponent who can block electricity, the electromagnetic position generator is a little weak, and it is difficult to kill with one hit. Only a variety of attack methods can allow the submerged mobile marine shelter to deal with more enemies. With the points I have accumulated now, there are not many idle points except for the part reserved for the construction of the submarine base. There are only about 10,000, and I don't know if I can buy suitable weapons from the system mall. Thinking like this, Li Hao walked into the industrial car 533, came to the Super 3D printer bed, opened the Doomsday Black Technology Mall and began to screen the weapons he needed. Star Destroyer, anti-matter energy bomb, planet blaster nuclear bombs, intercontinental missiles, space-based weapons. These drawings of weapons, either familiar or unfamiliar, make Li Hao very hungry. However, it is too expensive. With his purchase budget of more than 10,000 points, even a fraction of the drawings of these weapons is not enough. Out of sight, out of heart. Li Hao directly blocked all the weapon drawings with more than 10,000 points in the filter box. In an instant, all those super awesome weapon drawings disappeared in front of his eyes. Looking at the weapon drawings that 10,000 points can buy, Li Hao became more helpless the more he looked. Good guys, almost all gunpowder guns. Although there are many powerful firearms such as heavy snipers, these things are okay against humans themselves. If you want to use heavy snipers to deal with those ocean monsters that are tens of meters or hundreds of meters at every turn, it is obviously a pipe dream. Even if a heavy sniper bullet can penetrate the skin of those ocean monsters, the damage it can do is almost nothing. After all, the bullet is too small. Hitting those sea trolls was like a small 1mm wound cut in a person's finger. If you don't pay attention, you may heal. This is still a far. Based on this, all gunpowder types of gunpowder weapons can basically pass. 10,000 points in the system mall can only buy useless gunpowder type guns, weapons, rockets and other things, which are obviously almost any use for the ocean monsters of the ocean age. It seems that we can only find a way from other places. Thinking like this, Li Hao also shook his head helplessly and closed the mall panel. In the end, it's still too poor. You get what you'd pay for. Without enough money, points, how is it possible to buy really good things? Wait. Maybe you don't need enough money, points, to buy good things. As if something sounded, Li Hao's eyes lit up and turned his gaze to the icon next to the Doomsday Black Tech Mall on the panel. Limited time mall. Because the limited time mall often brushed out scrap or high-end goods that he could not afford before, his attention to the limited time mall also decreased a lot. Although I look at it every time I refresh it, I ignore it most of the time. After all, this thing is too random. No matter how much thought you'd put into it, it's the same. Might as well go with the flow. If I'm not mistaken, the products in the limited time mall are about to be refreshed! I hope that this time the product refresh can refresh the weapon drawings that are easy to use and not expensive. In fact, it is not that the weapon drawings have not been refreshed before. On the contrary, it has been refreshed many times, and almost every time of the 3 limited time specials, at least one of the 3 limited time items will be a weapon or weapon blueprint. It is just that these weapons or weapon drawings are expensive, and whether they are useful or not is not necessarily useful. For example, among the 3 limited time specials that have not yet been refreshed, there is a drawing of a single soldier weapon called the laser gun. Although this weapon drawing is discounted by 3 and the price is cheap, it is similar to gunpowder firearms, and the attack coverage is too small, and hitting those huge underwater monsters can basically only tickle. And against humans, it is obvious that this thing is not needed, and the current M19 assault rifle is very sufficient. This kind of chicken rib weapon drawing, he naturally can't waste points to buy. Praying for a handful of weapons this time and refreshing the inexpensive and suitable weapon blueprints, Li Hao opened the limited time mall panel. Ignoring the introduction of the 3 limited time specials inside, Li Hao turned his attention to the end time at the bottom of these limited time specials. Countdown. 6, 12. Is there still 6 minutes and 12 seconds to refresh? Looking at this countdown, Li Hao, who has nothing to do for the time being, decided to eat like this. 6 minutes and 12 seconds later. All 3 original items in the limited time marketplace have disappeared. In its place are 3 brand new specials. Nuclear power reactor drawings of special torpedo missile launch system solar energy collecting device. Sure enough. This time it also refreshed a special price item for weapons. Without saying, Li Hao clicked into the detail page of this weapon drawing for the first time. Drawings of special torpedo missile launch systems ammunition capacity. 30 rounds effective strike distance. 50 kilometers functional design. Long-range sighting marking device. Torpedo magazine device. Torpedo missile launcher. Introduction. Weapon engineering creation. A torpedo launch system designed for long-range special strike operations. Easy to load. Can load 30 torpedo missiles at a time, using its own long-range targeting marking device. Can effectively hit any underwater target within 50 kilometers. Limited time special price. 8,900 points, 1 discount. Original price. 89,000 points. Countdown. 28, 12, 22. It can reload 30 rounds at a time, and it can also achieve a long-range strike at a range of 50 kilometers. And it's still a discounted price, only 8,900 points. Looking at the introduction and price of this weapon drawing, Li Hao's face 2.7 couldn't help but show a hint of joy. This limited time all has finally refreshed with something suitable and cheap. The emergence of this special torpedo missile launch system can just make up for the lack of long-range attack means and submarine-type mobile ocean shelters. After all, the three modes attached to the electromagnetic stance generator, although both offensive and defensive, the attack distance is really not very far. The high-voltage current beam with the longest attack range will not have an attack range of more than 5 km. In this vast and boundless sea, it is undoubtedly short-handed to the point of not working. And this special torpedo missile launch system can effectively hit targets at a range of 50 kilometers, but it can just compensate for these 10 shortcomings of the electromagnetic position. Let the attack range of the submarine-type mobile ocean shelter instantly increases tenfold, and truly achieve long-range over-the-horizon strikes. It's a pity. If you're listening to this novel on a channel other than Fanfic World, it means they downloaded and uploaded it without effort. We cordially invite you to visit our channel, Mundo Fanfic Novelas. There you'll find the original version of this story and you can explore many other novels of various genres. We're waiting for you to immerse yourself in a world of incredible novels. Chapter 123 No Dead End Torpedo Launch System. It's a pity that this special torpedo missile launch system does not seem to have a great effect on the mutated giant manta fish at hundreds of meters. Li Hao had a hint of regret on his face. Although the special weapon goods refreshed this time are suitable and cheap, they are not very useful in dealing with a mutated giant devilfish with a perverted skin. After all, torpedo missiles squeeze the opponent mainly by the huge water pressure generated after the explosion. This attack may be very effective against other creatures or ships at sea, killing or sinking them in an instant. But for the mutated giant manta fish with tough skin, this obviously won't do much. At least it is difficult to create a one-hit kill. In fact, the impact he made with the submarine-type mobile ocean shelter before would definitely not be inferior to ordinary torpedo missiles, but after dozens of attacks, it still could not cause fatal damage to it, which is already very telling. If you want to kill a mutant giant manta with a torpedo missile, unless you can hit hundreds of torpedo missiles, maybe you can blow it up alive. However, it is a little difficult to do. The mutated giant manta has shown human fear before, and its wisdom 15 strength is obviously much stronger than the mental disability of the mutant giant marlin, at least to avoid evil. The concept of judging the situation is still there. Once the situation is not good, that mutated giant manta ray escapes 100%. Thinking of this, Li Hao couldn't help but shake his head. However, although this special torpedo missile launch system does not have the one-hit effect on the mutant giant manta ray, it is no different from qualified in terms of the attack means and attack range of the submarine-type mobile marine shelter. The most important thing is that the price is cheap enough, and it directly discounted the price of the jumping property. Therefore, Li Hao did not hesitate and directly bought the drawings of the special torpedo missile launch system, minus 8,900. The moment the points were deducted, the drawings of the special torpedo missile launch system in the limited time all disappeared and appeared in Li Hao's system inventory. Take the drawings of the special torpedo missile launch system from the system inventory and enter them into the Super 3D printer bed. A minute later, a new manufacturing option appeared on the printer bed display. It was precisely the special torpedo missile launch system. Let's make a set first. Without hesitation, Li Hao directly put in the required materials and clicked to manufacture. This thing was originally the weapon system we bought to enhance the rich submarine-type mobile ocean shelter, and naturally the sooner it was manufactured and installed, the better. The Super 3D printer bed is undocked one by one. The robotic arms began to move flexibly and orderly, disassembling and processing the input metal raw materials and printing them into precision mechanical parts. About 20 minutes later, all parts of the entire drawing of the special torpedo missile launch system were printed. Looking at these mechanical parts, Li Hao did not go to the weapons room to install it at the first time, but said to the display screen on the side, "Jarvis, based on the parameter data of the special torpedo missile launch system, and using the submarine-type mobile ocean shelter as a model, we began to simulate and calculate to build the most complete torpedo missile launch system. Such torpedo launchers obviously cannot be installed blindly. Otherwise, the submarine-type mobile ocean shelter is so large, there will definitely be an attack dead end. Once the enemy is in a dead end of the attack, the torpedo firing system is not wasted." Li Hao couldn't have left such a big hole when installing weapon systems in his shelter. Yes, Ra. Knowing Li Hao's intentions, Jarvis immediately began to execute orders according to Li Hao's request. For artificial data life, this kind of calculus simulation is obviously the best at it. Especially when backed by sound data. This calculation simulation, whether it is the data parameters of the special torpedo missile launch system or the data parameters of the submarine-type mobile marine shelter, are extremely complete. Soon, Jarvis completed this architectural combination for the mobile marine distress torpedo weapon system. A structural diagram of a submarine-type mobile ocean shelter appeared on a large screen in front of Li Hao, marked with 6 red dots. Jarvis According to calculations, the submarine-type mobile marine shelter has built the most complete torpedo launch system without dead ends, which needs to consist of at least 6 special torpedo missile launch systems. Among them, 4 flanks are needed, and 2 needed for front and rear armor, so the torpedo missile launch system is theoretically capable of achieving 365-degree all-round coverage strikes. Just use this plan. After confirming that the plan deduced by Jarvis perfectly met his requirements, Li clapped without hesitation. Walked to the Super 3D printer bed. Li Hao again clicked on the manufacturing option for the special torpedo missile launch system and set its manufacturing quantity to 5. The Super 3D printer bed is up and running again. After about an hour, all 5 special torpedo missile launch systems were manufactured. Coupled with the one that was made before, it just got together. According to the torpedo system layout diagram deduced by Jarvis, Li Hao asked the fully automatic multifunctional mechanical building octopus to put 6 special torpedo missile launch systems in the corresponding positions, then followed the accompanying instructions to begin the installation. Although these parts are quite heavy, they are also quite complete and only need to be assembled. With the powerful power of the fully automatic multifunctional mechanical building octopus, it is not too time-consuming to assemble. About 5 hours later, Li Hao completed the assembly of the 6 special torpedo missile launch systems. The final step is to connect to the energy delivery system of the submarine-type mobile marine shelter, which Li Hao officially launched. The working indicator of the 137th special torpedo missile launch system illuminated. At the same time, Jarvis, under the orders of Li Hao, also began to take over the construction of the torpedo weapon firing system. A minute later, Jarvis. The takeover was successful, and the commissioning of 6 special torpedo missile launch systems was completed. Start building a torpedo weapon firing system without dead ends. 10%, 20%, 30%. The construction of the torpedo weapon firing system without dead ends has been completed, and the completion degree is 100%. Very good. Confirming that the torpedo weapon firing system without dead ends was completed, Li Hao also nodded with satisfaction. Next, there are torpedo missiles. If you are just a drawing of a torpedo missile, the price in the system store is not expensive. For 3,500 points, Li Hao bought a drawing of a high-powered torpedo missile and entered it into the drawing library of the Super 3D printer bed. With a large amount of supplies previously captured from those Sea Ark shelters, there was no shortage of gunpowder in the shelters. Li Hao directly built 1,000 torpedo missiles as a reserve ammunition. Loading these produced torpedo missiles into 6 special torpedo missile launch systems, Li Hao was ready to go back to sleep. After such a busy work, it was already past 11 o'clock in the evening. Back to the bedroom. After hastily washing, Li Hao hugged Shazushi's warm and soft body and fell asleep. Chapter 124 Weapons that severely damage mutant giant devilfish. June 15, 20,216 and Li Hao woke up on time from sleep. The first time he opened his eyes, Li Hao saw Shazushi sleeping soundly on his stomach. Looking at the beautiful girl sleeping in his arms, Li Hao couldn't help but feel a sense of satisfaction in his heart. Carefully put Shazushi aside, covered the quilt, and Li Hao climbed out of the bed. A lot of things happened yesterday. Not only the underwater refuge base was officially ready to start construction, but also encountered an underwater troll, and today's survival performance should be a lot of points. Thinking so, Li Hao opened the system log as he walked towards the bathroom. Doomsday Survival, Long-Term Mission, today's mission reward settlement completed. Survival performance. After several days of travel, you have successfully found a satisfactory underwater refuge base construction site with plus 500 points to complete the drawing design of the underwater refuge base and decide to adopt a pyramid structure with plus 1000 points. So use a small water film generation device to open up underwater space and prepare for the construction of an undersea base. With plus 2000 points you patrol the sea around the construction site to clear potential threats. With plus 3000 points when you're patrolling the seas, you'll encounter ocean trolls. Submarine-type mobile ocean shelters, with plus 6,000 points to eat 3 meals a day, steadily consume energy, and maintain a balanced body nutrition. Plus 20 points to go into a deep sleep, refreshed, and the physical energy consumed yesterday is fully restored. Plus 30 points. Congratulations to the host for earning 18,050 points. 18,050 points. Looking at the numbers on the settlement panel, Li Hao thought while brushing his teeth and washing his face. This amount of settlement points was not surprising to him. After all, there was a lot of survival that happened yesterday. It is also normal to have such a number. Coupled with the original accumulated points, the number in his hand now reached 48,300 points at once. Instantly, it became a lot more abundant. The number of points available in hand has again increased dramatically. Li Hao naturally had an idea in his mind again. After all, the weapon of the mutated giant manta ray, which can be severely damaged on a submarine-type mobile ocean shelter, has not yet been obtained. Since you have more points in your hand, you can naturally afford better weapons. Yesterday 10,000 points could not buy a suitable weapon, and today I don't know if it is enough to use 20,000 points. If it really doesn't work, you can only increase the budget by another 10,000 points. After killing the mutated giant manta fish and thoroughly cleaning up the surrounding sea threats, the task of cleaning up the threat is completed, and you can get 5,000 points. In addition, this behavior can also be regarded as survival performance, and the points settled are definitely not few, at least more than 5,000 points. In this way, it can be easily reduced to a fraction. Incidentally, the weapon system of the submarine-type mobile marine shelter has been upgraded and strengthened, killing the threat of mutating giant manta rays. Kill two birds with one stone. Thinking like this, after Li Hao finished washing, he opened the Doomsday Black Technology Mall again. Subsequently, the screening of weapons within 30,000 points began directly. However, 10 minutes later, it seems that it is still too much to overestimate the purchasing power of 30,000 points. The weapon goods with a price of less than 30,000 points in front of him. Li Hao also sighed helplessly in his heart. Compared with yesterday's budget of 10,000 points, 30,000 points can indeed buy a lot more weapons goods. But in fact, there is no essential difference. At most there are more heavy weapons such as heavy artillery. This weapon is obviously not as good as torpedo missiles under the seabed. It's not funny. Knowing this, Li Hao rubbed his eyebrows, also with some headaches. Without enough points, the weapon drawings in the mall are obviously not counted on. Without the weapon that could severely damage the mutated giant devilfish, the threat of sweeping the surrounding sea area was obviously nothing more than empty talk. Just the mutated giant devilfish that only has an intelligent instinct can't do it. This feeling of being able to fight but being difficult to kill is really unpleasant. Think for a moment. Wait. Why do you have to buy weapon blueprints in the system mall that can severely damage the mutated giant devilfish? As if thinking of something, a light flashed in Li Hao's eyes. It seems to have fallen into a misunderstanding. Since there are not enough points, it is impossible to buy weapons that can severely damage the mutated giant manta in the system mall. Then why not change your mind and build your own ? Perhaps this is also an option. Thinking of this, Li Hao's face suddenly showed a hint of excitement. The appearance of this thought was not a momentary brain fever, but really after his careful consideration. This is what inspired him from the previous submarine-type mobile ocean shelter madly ramming into the mutated giant manta ray. Although this impact attack did not bring much damage to the mutant giant manta ray, it was only because the special skin on its body surface could greatly cushion the impact. If a sharp, angled spear can be fitted to the forward armor of a submarine-type mobile ocean shelter, the impact kill will become a penetrating kill. At that time, can't the special skin cushioning of the mutant giant earth ghost fish be lifted? The more Li Hao thought about it, the more excited he became. He seems to have found a way to inflict heavy damage on the mutant giant manta ray. Not only that, the failure of the electromagnetic force field generator is also due to the special skin defense layer of the mutated giant manta fish. If you can increase the conductivity of the sharp angle impacting spear, and when it penetrates the skin defense of the mutated giant manta ray, then the high voltage current excited by the electromagnetic force field generator can also follow this angle, impacting spear and directly entering the body of the mutant giant manta ray, directly attacking its flesh and blood and internal organs. Without the barrier of insulating skin, and the high voltage current caused by the electromagnetic stance generator directly attacking its visceral flesh and blood, the mutated giant manta fish is not dead, and it will definitely be seriously injured. Chapter 125 Design Drawing of Ramming Weapon. Superconductive alloy. At that time, it will not be easy to clean up the mutated giant manta ray. Confirming that his inspiration seemed to be able to kill the mutant giant manta ray, Li Hao immediately walked out of the bathroom and towards the industrial workshop. He couldn't wait to put this idea to the test. If you really succeed, you can directly save a lot of points. Step into the industrial workshop. Came to the Super 3D printer bed. Li Ji did not immediately start to make his own ideas, electric long gun angle collision weapon. Instead, he said to the screen in front of him, Jarvis, start calculating the force shape, sharpness, and toughness required for a long gun to hit the angle of a long gun through the skin defense of the mutated giant manta fish under the full power impact of the simulated submarine-type mobile ocean shelter. Obviously, this kind of spear angle weapon that can severely damage the giant manta fish cannot be made indiscriminately. This kind of melee weapon installed on a submarine-type mobile ocean seems to be very simple, but shelter in fact, it is not simple at all to do it. Needless to say, if it wants to really be used in actual combat, used to penetrate the giant manta skin defense, its force shape, sharpness, toughness, including the impact force of the submarine-type mobile ocean shelter 573, all kinds of data need to be taken into account. Finally, after a series of accurate calculations and simulations, the design model of the ramming weapon of the Logon was taken down, ensuring that it was not a silver wax head. Yes, sir. Sensing Li Hao's intentions, Jarvis immediately began to execute the order. Using a small super-biological computer that crunched 811 million times per second, Jarvis imported various relevant data parameters and began to simulate the situation when a submarine-type mobile marine shelter spear hit the angle and attacked the mutated giant manta ray. In just a few seconds, hundreds of millions of simulations were completed, and the design drawings of the Logon angle weapon envisaged by Li Hao were rapidly developed. A minute later. Jarvis. Simulation calculation complete. The design drawings of the submarine-type mobile marine shelter front armored Logon angle weapon have been fully deduced. The optimal design drawing is as follows. Next, second a design drawing of a strange spear-shaped angled weapon tens of meters long, with a flattened sharp tip, a thick tail and many hideous barbs appeared on the big screen in front of Li Hao. Fab, with the appearance of this bizarre spear-type collision angled blueprint, Jarvis continued. According to computational simulations, this weapon design can perfectly penetrate the skin defenses of the mutated giant manta while also preventing it from struggling to escape. However, the strength of the alloy used to make this weapon needs to exceed 60 times that of ordinary steel alloys. 60 times more than ordinary steel alloys. Is the energy-absorbing alloy suitable for the manufacture of this weapon? Hearing this, Li Hao asked directly. You know, the strength of the energy-absorbing alloy itself is more than 50 times that of ordinary steel alloys. After absorbing a large amount of energy, its intensity can continue to rise. The strength exceeds that of ordinary steel alloys by 60 times. It can be said that it is a breeze. If it can be made from energy-absorbing alloys, then it does not need to go to the system store to buy new alloy formulas. This will undoubtedly save a lot of points. Unfortunately, Jarvis's answer made him a little disappointed. Jarvis. Energy-absorbing alloys don't work. This metal has energy-absorbing properties, which is naturally very useful for the creation of defensive buildings, but for weapons that rely on sharp damage, when using this material, when attacking the enemy, it will reduce the impact force attached to penetration. It seems that you can only go to the system mall and buy another applicable alloy formula. Hearing this, Li Hao muttered. After asking Jarvis, he also remembered his idea of using a spear to strike the horn weapon to conduct electricity and directly attack the internal organs of the mutated giant devilfish. If you use energy-absorbing alloys directly, then this idea is obviously completely nonsense. After all, the high-voltage current of the electromagnetic stance generator spreads to the Logon angle collision weapon, and I am afraid that it will be immediately absorbed by the energy-absorbing alloy. What else to attack the organs inside the mutated giant devilfish? In other words, the alloy formula required to make a Logon angle bumping weapon needs to be more than 60 times stronger than ordinary steel alloys, and it must also have excellent electrical conductivity. Thinking of this, Li Hao also directly opened the Doomsday Technology Mall and began to screen alloy material formulas that meet these requirements. Enter all of these requirements into the filter bar. The next moment. Energy conduction alloy formula, superconductive alloy formula, nano-alloy formula, a variety of alloy formulations that meet these requirements appear in front of Li Hao's eyes. After some comparison, Li Hao finally chose the formula of superconductive alloy. Superconductive alloy synthetic materials. Silver, nickel, copper, iron, zinc strength. 70 toughness. 80 metal characteristics. Low power consumption. Introduction. This is an alloy formula specially created for some electromagnetic weapons. The strength and toughness are more than 70 times that of ordinary steel alloys, and it has low consumption conductive characteristics, which can convey conduction force almost without loss. Price. 7,200 points. All the properties perfectly meet the material requirements of the design drawings of the Logon angle impact weapon. The price is not expensive. It is cheaper than energy-absorbing alloys. Although the basic performance of this alloy formula is higher than that of energy-absorbing alloys, the energy absorption function of energy-absorbing alloys is obviously more difficult and advanced. Therefore, the price of this alloy formula is 800 points lower than that of energy-absorbing alloys. No hesitation. Li Hao bought the alloy formula directly, minus 7,200. After buying this superconductive alloy formula, Li Hao did not ink, and immediately walked towards the automated metal furnace on the side. Enter it into the alloy recipe library of automated metal furnaces. According to Jarvis's estimates, if you want to make the long gun angle weapon in the design drawing, you need at least 30 tons of superconductive alloy. Looking at the production options of the superconductive alloy that lights up on the display, Li Hao puts in the metal raw materials and sets the production quantity. Then, click production. End of this chapter. Thank you very much for reaching the end. Don't forget to like. Looking for more exclusive content and immediate access? Subscribe to our Patreon. Remember, every like, subscription, or donation encourages us to continue. Thanks to everyone. See you in the next video.